me? Will we leave behind the innocent to grieve on their own, on the run, when their lives have only begun? These could be our daughters and our sons. And just like a drum, I can hear their hearts beating. I know my God won't let them be defeated. Every child has a dream to belong and be loved. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name in victory. When we love the least of these, when we love the least of these. Break our hearts once again. Help us to remember when we were only children hoping for a friend. Won't you look around? These are the lives that the world has forgotten, waiting for doors of our hearts and our homes to open. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name in victory. When we love the least of these, when we love the least of these. It's not us who will be like Jesus to the least of these. If not us, tell me who will be like Jesus to the least of these. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love. Little hands, shoeless feet, lonely eyes looking back at me. Will we leave behind the innocent to grieve on their own, on the run, when their lives have only begun? These could be our daughters and our sons. And just like a drum, I can hear their hearts beating. I know my God
report this Friday, March 31st. Wow, folks, it's almost April. March 31st, 2017, 8th year of Chungi, 3rd month, 4th day by the heavenly calendar. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk, broadcasting live from the Cheongguk Palace and amidst this very rainy season. It almost feels like a monsoon season. You can hear the rain here. It's going to be a nice trekking day in the rain today. A nice outdoor trekking adventure. We have to log in about 6 miles today with our full load-out packs. So it's going to be quite an interesting training day. Let's go to Tim Elder for our AccuWeather forecast this morning. Tim.
Yes, we're having a good steady rain today, and some sleet mixed in with that as well for good measure. Yes, the temperature is slightly above freezing, about 34 and the mid-30s, and it's going to be raining most of the day, and continuing into tomorrow morning. But good news is that tomorrow, later on, it'll turn to cloudy, and then Sunday will be mostly sunny and in the 50s, so it'll be a nice spring day.
Well, thank you for that, Tim, for the weather update there. I remember last week when we did about 4.5 miles, 3 days straight, and my hips and the upper glutes and the hips, okay, were so unbelievably sore. Ridiculous. Oh my goodness. But I believe by Sunday when we had service, the pain had gone away. The soreness had gone away, so the body was able to adapt to that. We had some of the ninjas go do some trekking yesterday. They didn't carry out their full load-out packs. They carried very light packs or no packs yesterday. But they logged in about 6 miles, which is not bad. We're going to have to log in about another 6 miles today. But with our full load-out, rain gear, rain protection, this is the time to test it out before we get out into the high altitude in the Rockies for the very intense, grueling 35-mile trek through the Rocky Mountains at an average of over 10,000 feet elevation. We have also training masks that constrict your breathing. They create actually like a suction around your face. You almost sound like Darth Vader, like, like that. But if you adjust the air intake valves, it can get you to about 10,000 feet altitude simulated. And it is very hard to breathe from. Now, I've been over 12,000 feet. I've been to Tibet, Lhasa. And I had to definitely breathe, do special breathing to stay, sane and remain, mobile. But people react differently at different elevations. Anyways, let's get to our Rima today. Our Rima is from Matthew. We're in Matthew 12. And verse 9. Very interesting scripture here today. Now when he had departed from there, he went into their synagogue. And behold, there was a man who had a withered hand. They asked him, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? That they might accuse him. Then he said to them, What man is there among you who has one sheep? And if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will not lay hold of it and lift it out? How much more value then is a man than a sheep? Therefore it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Then he said to the man, Stretch out your hand. And he stretched it out, and it was restored as whole as the other. Then the Pharisees went on and plotted against him how they might destroy him. The Spirit of God tells me today to focus in on verse 12, which is of how... Now usually in Christian interpretation, when we see a scripture like this, we're going to focus on the healing. Okay, the healing of the withered hand now becomes healed and to be as the other hand that is whole. And of course, or we may focus on the Pharisees plotting to kill Jesus. Okay, or we may focus on the Sabbath that God said, keep it holy and do not work on it. But I want to focus on what the Spirit of God tells me to focus on today, and that is this verse here. Look at this. Amongst all that, Jesus says, if the sheep falls into a pit on the Sabbath, will you not lay hold of it and lift it out? In verse 12, of how much more value then is a man than a sheep? We kind of glaze over that. See that? We glaze over that, don't we? There's many things to focus on in any Rima, but the Spirit of God is prompting me to focus on this scripture of how much more value then is a man than a sheep. We must understand that human beings are the apex of God's creation. God created human beings to be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion over creation. To be stewards of creation. That's not so we are some kind of ego trip and so we become irresponsible. That's so that we understand our proper role. Okay? It's not about ego, it's about role, and it's about responsibility. When God gives us the blessing, which of course a blessing is always tied with responsibility as well, to be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion over creation, that is a responsibility. It's a responsibility to stand in that position, to stay in that position, to be fruitful, to practice, train yourself to have mind-body unity. That is a blessing, but it's also a responsibility. To multiply, to have children, to have the next generation, to have a beautiful marriage. That is also not just a blessing, which with no effort comes. It is also a responsibility. I remember, when I got blessed at the ripe old age of 17 years old, I was at the end of my 17-year-old, and I was going on to 18. I was married to the Queen when I was still in high school, and I had just graduated. No, I was just about to graduate when we got blessed in September 6th, 97. And I remember when I got blessed, there was this whole culture, this weird culture, There's the blessing is a curse, this kind of thing. Or, you're getting blessed, you poor thing. Which is such a ridiculous, if you actually believe in the blessing, if you believe in marriage, that it's going to be a blessing. You're cursing yourself from the very get-go, It's like saying, before you go and do something that's really epic, or like, let's say you're trying to win a gold medal for the IBJJF, which is the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. It's real epic. You're going after the gold. Or you go to Abu Dhabi, whatever, And then before you even get there, or even before you start training, you're saying, this is a curse, this is a curse, this is terrible, this is terrible. Now not only are you gonna psych yourself out, you are self-sabotaging yourself. And there was this weird culture in our family, It was this weird culture, which also extended from the upper blessed children as well. Of, you're getting blessed. We're forced to be blessed or to be married. We don't want to get married. We want to marry somebody that we want, or we want to date and stuff like this. And I had seen everybody with that attitude, had failed marriages. Every single person with that attitude. And it's not only so much as a psyching out of oneself, then it is you're cursing yourself. You're bringing about a spirit of defeat and spirit of self-sabotage. You're connecting with the ether of the dimension that we live in and beyond. That is living in that dimension of that kind of self-defeating, self-sabotaging spirit. Now, I chose now. I saw that culture. I had seen the result. I saw everybody who had that vision for themselves and their marriage, which of course is the one of the most important, critical passages in one's life. Everybody with that attitude failed. Every single one. There's not even one with a powerful, happy, strong, powerful marriage. Not one person. So I said, screw that. I'm not going to be part of that culture. I choose not to be a slave to that culture or that peer pressure. And everybody trying to say, oh, you poor thing, you're going to get married. How do you feel about that? I said, I actually feel really great. I want to get married. I said, I'm not going to bow to this peer pressure. And I'm going to, first of all, it's my life. Okay? It's going to be my marriage. I'm going to have to be responsible for this. If I self-sabotage myself and screw this up, that's on me. I saw the whole blame game. People trying to blame father, and it doesn't work. It just puts them in a victim mentality, and they just feel like self-pity party all day. It's like the Grinch. You guys, get that clip of the Grinch. What time is it? 3 o'clock for the... Oh, yes, so self-pity time. What's my appointment at 4 o'clock? Self-pity time. What's my appointment at 5? Oh, wonderful, self-pity. Why do you want to live like that? I saw that pattern. It is hell. People put themselves in their own hell. And of course, it's not only them. We know it's not only psychological, it's also spiritual. The devil wants us to be depressed. The devil wants to have the spirit of despair. The devil wants us to have the spirit of defeat. Because when we stand in a proper position, we are powerful. We can fight against the devil. It's like the globalists or the global cartels trying to make citizens weak, and in their little ghettos of identity that are given to them, like the transgender identity or the homosexual identity, hypersexualized at a young age, so that they're so weak in these identity ghettos, trying to fight for their little supposed identity, that they can never stand against the real evil and the cartels that are actually ruling over the whole nations. Do we have that clip from the Grinch? The Grinch. It was the one with the Jim Carrey one. Remember that? Where he had the... Do we have that clip? Anyways, if you see the Grinch, all right, there's this whole self-pity party. I chose no. I am not going to live like that. And I said, I will have a happy marriage. I will have a powerful marriage. I will. And when I met my wife first time, I told her, baby, you gonna love me. And she thought, oh my gosh, he's a prince. He's a prince with a delusional prince or something like that, right? In Korean. She's looking at me over there. But I chose to prophesy, I chose to declare and decree that I will be victorious in this blessing. Now, I saw the people who chose to decree and declare that they will be failures in marriage. Why would you do that? Marriage is one of the most essential parts of your life. It is one of the most essential factors to being a truly happy person, content and fulfilled, and have true relationship and true sense of belonging. I mean, it is one of the most coveted prizes. Everybody in this world who are single, and even the ones that are out on the dating scene, whatever, they're seeking for that marriage. Yet why are we guilt-shamed and why are we peer-pressured into sabotaging ourselves before we get into this covenant and we have the potential to build it with God so that it is the most powerful thing that everybody, of course, everybody's looking for that. Everybody wants that. Then you have all these kids that self-sabotage themselves when they get blessed. Now, if you enter into it with a different spirit and a different attitude and a different warrior mentality, then the devil has a harder time to take spiritual dominion. Then you are able to stand with the Spirit of God to stay on the tracks towards success, not be derailed by the spirit of despair, the spirit of self-pity, the spirit of victimization, the spirit of self-sabotage, the spirit of defeat. You can stand in victory with God. Doesn't matter what age you are. So God gives us these blessings. Are we going to take responsibility for these things and say, hey, these are blessings, these are for me. These are for me. I don't want to self-sabotage myself. I want to have mind, body, unity, be mature. I want to have a blessing. I want to be powerful in that blessing. I want to be happy in that blessing. Everybody sees what me and the Queen got. And everybody is envious. Because almost nobody has that. But you have no idea how much we had to invest in this. How much I as subject had to have the right mentality. How much I had to continue to lift up the mood whenever, if it goes up and down. I am the responsible one there. Of course, it helps that I'm playful and I understand women's psychology and world. That all helps. But again, it's about taking your responsibility, grasping it from the atmosphere. Ooh, like I say, grasping. Grasping it with the spirit of victory. Not the spirit of despair. Not the spirit, oh, it's being forced upon me. Not the spirit of, defeat. Not the spirit of self-sabotage. Not the spirit of self-victimization. I said the spirit of victory. Now, we may be in a time of tribulation. That doesn't mean we don't have any victory. We can still have victory if our faith comes into action with God's grace and presence in the atmosphere. When it is released into the atmosphere. The woman of the issue of blood grabbed the hem of his garment, the tassel of his garment, and was healed. And he said, by faith you are healed. Our faith has a powerful force. You know how they do like Star Wars? Guys, pull up a clip about Star Wars, like use the force. Use the force. They want you to idolize and fantasize about Star Wars force. I'm talking about our faith has a force. It has a force to interact with the Spirit of God, with the blessings of God. Our faith has a force to interact with the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God tells me today that if you're battling cancer, you're battling disease, you're battling hardship, you're battling strongholds, you must stand up and grasp that spirit of victory, which God has put right in your atmosphere. It's right there. But with your faith, you must grasp it. Doesn't mean you'll be healed at this instant. Doesn't mean you may be healed at this instant. You may feel the Spirit of God coming over you. You may be healed tomorrow. You may be healed the next day. But it is the Spirit of God that wants to interact with your faith. That you will stand as what God has told you about. And you will act in faith. You will not go on your own understanding. What does the Bible say? Proverbs say, lean not to your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways, and he will make your path straight. Lean not to your own understanding. Your own understanding leads you to defeat and despair. You got to stand on the power of faith. Even though you can't see it, God said it, you believe. And with the power of belief, you now can achieve what God has in plan for you more than you thought of yourself and your own understanding. Thought you can only get to level B, level C. But with faith activated, with like the force, more powerful than the force in Star Wars, your faith interacting with God brings you to level A, level alpha, level, etc. A higher level than you in your own understanding, could see yourself at. When you start your own business, you know, when these kids are out here, they're doing this entrepreneurial work, starting their own, you know, fundraising ministry to get to that trip in Thailand and Cambodia that they're planning. They had to take risks doing those entrepreneurial works. They never launched a small business, basically a small little fundraiser. They never thought in a business mentality. And we had discussions with the kids who are trying that for the first time about entrepreneurship, starting your business, thinking about cost, thinking about profits, but not being deluded, because even in terms of business, you have labor costs, you have to pay people, you have utilities, all these kind of things that you have to be in consideration of, that they are not necessarily in consideration of. If you have a space, you have to rent that space. But they get in that process of trying to understand that. But you have to go in, not dilute it. I'm not saying dilute it. I'm not saying go and dilute it. I'm saying you got to go in with the right spirit. That's whatever you do. If you're competing, if you're fighting somebody, if you're going for the Abu Dhabi gold medal, if you're going for a PhD, if you're going for a job interview, if you're going, whatever it is, if you're starting your own business, invite God in your life, activate yourself with faith, stop believing what the naysayers and haters say. They're always going to be hating, they're always going to be naysaying. That's what they do. Stop believing them. Stop letting them get in your mind. Stand on faith. Stand on the rock. Stand with what God says. And believe in strength. Activate that relationship. We have so many things in epigenetics to unlock in this lifetime. It's so short. It's so short. Why would you self-sabotage yourself? Especially in marriage. My gosh, why would you do that? I've seen everybody who's done that. They thought they were increasing their value by pitting themselves, pretending that they're so great because they go through so much in their mind. They're deluding themselves. They're not going through that crap. They're making their own suffering. Now, when you leave that spirit and you step into the blessing as a blessing and see it as a blessing, and you move forward and you say, hey, I'm going to claim this. It's mine. I'm going to succeed here. I'm going to be happy in this, and this is going to make true power. True power. And it's going to help. It's going to help spread and infect the world with real love, real power. A real model and example. Verse 12 of how much more value then is a man than a sheep. The Spirit of God tells me today that to tell you, you are not sheep. We are greater than the entire creation. God has so much more in store and planned in our lives. But we must stand with the Spirit of God in the atmosphere of faith against the naysayers, haters, and spirit of defeat, despair, and self-victimization and self-sabotage. And we must say, God, I am blessed, I am thankful, and I will stand in victory as you have ordained me to do. We'll be right back after this short break.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Carr Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology, it's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Carr Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood, the history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun, to the best in compact concealed carry, Carr Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Carr Firearms Group.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Back to the King's Report. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheongguk. Now let's go to our related Cheonseongyang reading for today. Tim, go ahead.
My reading in the Cheonseongyang this morning is from Book 3, Chapter 2, page 350, words spoken in 1999. When parents divorce, this is like cutting their children in half with a knife. The public law of the universe does not allow this. Parents who violate this will receive punishment and be followed by misfortune wherever they go, unable to find happiness.
See that? Now that's related. That's related to our whole discussion on marriage, etc. When you fill yourself with the spirit of self-sabotage, self-victimization, pity party, blaming the other always, it's never your fault, right? It's always the husband's fault. It's always the wife's fault. Okay? This is the spirit and the activity of defeat. This is the activity of losers. If you're in marriage, if you're in blessing, which is the greatest covenant, and you are engaging in that activity of blame game and it's always your other fault, you're a loser. You're a total loser. You are a failure. You are on the path that Satan wants you to be on. You are acquiescing, you're bowing, you're sucking the toes with your little tentacle mouth of the devil. You're doing his bidding. You're a slave of the devil. You're victimizing yourself. You're self-sabotaging yourself to feel important and you feel like you're doing something. You're trying to play a game, blame game with your spouse when you know you're the problem. But you can't admit that because everybody will then you have to admit it to everybody else. You are the reason your marriage is being sabotaged. You are the reason why you are being defeated. One thing I love about, there's great benefits in team sports. One thing I love about martial art training and combat martial arts is that you are responsible. If you lost to that guy, you are responsible. It's 100% your fault. You can't blame anybody else. You lost. You can't blame anybody else. Nobody else got choked. Nobody else got punched out. Nobody else got beat up. You lost. So it creates a deep sense of personal accountability. Like you are always responsible, whether you win or lose, whether you train or not. You're responsible. That's why, of course, people who do combat arts become stronger mentally. They become samurai, ninja. They become stronger mentally. But the whole issue of divorce. How many people get divorced over the stupidest things, over stupid emotions, over stupid arguments, which are, if you look, you just step back and look at how stupid that argument is. It's like, oh my gosh, what is idiotic? What's it? Fran Ichigo, we saw her 2 sentences or so. And she said whenever her husband and her fought, what was it that they said? Anyways, whenever they fought, she said something like, oh, she said the rule was she would apologize always. Like the rule was as soon as they started fighting, she would go, I'm sorry, honey, I'm wrong. I'm wrong in this. I'm really sorry. And then the rule was the husband had to also apologize the same way. And they both had to apologize. They both had to take responsibility. This is actually really cute and super wonderful. Okay? So whenever there's an argument, one of them, or Fran would say, she would initiate, I guess most of the time, and she would say, honey, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. And then the husband, that would be a cue, because they already made a pre-arrangement, that whenever she apologized, then the husband would say, no, honey, actually, no, I'm sorry. And then she would go, no, honey, actually, I'm sorry. And then he would go, no, and then they would start laughing about it. And actually, they would realize, oh, this is stupid. This argument is stupid. See, when you get tied up in the emotional realm, you become stupid. That's just the game. That's just the rule. When you get tied up in your emotions, you get stupid. And girls, when you deal, you know you have a lot of emotion. If you have not worked them out, if you have not worked and trained in those emotions, you know those emotions will get control of you. So the devil plays around in that world, makes you emotional, and makes you sabotage yourself with the most important relationship that you will have on this earth. The one that everybody actually wants happiness in. And before you got married, you wanted happiness in. People sabotage themselves all the time. It's so ridiculous. It's so pathetic. I'm telling you, you don't have to do it. You do not have to do it. You can choose not to go. Even something simple like that. Isn't that very cute? Even something simple like that. That you agree beforehand that the rule is, if you fight about something stupid, Fran, if you're watching, you know, we love you guys. And of course, there's such a wonderful little practice here. And one day when she says, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. And she does it sincerely. Then the husband has to say, no, actually, I'm sorry. And then then they have to just keep going until they, I guess they just keep going until they start laughing. And then all that emotion is gone. So many people bring themselves to defeat. They want to push the envelope of self-pity and how far can I go with this? And just continue to scar and be stupid along the whole way. And then finally they think, oh, you know, he's never going to divorce me or she's not going to divorce me. And at some point they're like, no, screw you. I am sick of being abused. I'm out of here. And maybe that person was a good-hearted person. Maybe that person was a good-hearted person in the beginning, but it's just year after year, after day, after month, after being belittled and et cetera. And so you become defeated. Now, like Father said, you split your children in half. Now you've hurt their future. It doesn't mean they're cursed. The children doesn't mean that child is cursed forever. That child now has a responsibility to step out of that defeat because you put them in defeat. Now they can choose to stay in that defeated mentality and repeat the same cycle as you and be a loser, or they can choose to say, no, screw that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be like that. I'm not going to choose that petty, pathetic way. I'm going to choose victory. And the Spirit of God is more powerful than your defeat. So just because your parents have divorced doesn't mean you are doomed and damned to be miserable. If you are, that's on you. That's your fault. Because you're believing that lie the devil is telling you. You have plenty of different role models that you can see that have the Spirit of God, that have power and anointing in their marriage, and have beauty and truth and happiness and fun. You are not damned. It is like being split in half, yes. But still, if you're split in half, God can mend you. God can make you whole. The Bible says that God makes you whole. And the Spirit of God is speaking to somebody today. Don't choose the spirit of defeat. That's like choosing to latch on to this being, this spirit. And you're trying to grab onto it, latch onto it, and try to suck its toes. Grow a little tentacle mouth. Why would you do that? Don't latch on to those stupid demonic lies and those demonic spirits that the devil infests into your atmosphere. They infest like a cloud, like a virus, like syphilis, to spread over your spiritual body. Why you let him do that? Stand back, keep your guard, kick him out, reject him. The Bible says resist him and he will flee. Resist. You must resist. You must rebel. You must be rebellious against the devil's lies and the devil's spirit and that spirit realm. You know you don't want defeat. You know you don't want to be put there. You know you don't want to be a loser. You know you don't want to hurt your children. You know you don't want to put your children at risk, etc. You know you don't. Why you choose that path? It's easy. Through that path, you may be in a delusional realm thinking that you're actually going through so much suffering and look how much suffering I have to endure. Look how great I am. It's self-worship. I have seen so many people go down the path of self-worship. They're pretending and they're sabotaging themselves for the purpose of self-glorification. Look how difficult my situation is. I have to endure this much. I'm this great. So pity me, pity me, pity me. And then they get addicted to this negative reinforcement, this negative attention. Children have that all the time. They're like little adult children getting used to negative attention and pity parties and destroying their own lives, sabotaging their own relationships, especially their marriage. The Spirit of God says, no, rebel against that. Choose victory. God did not ordain for you to be married from the foundation of the earth so you can live in defeat. He ordained you to be married. I love how, what's it? I saw Jamal here this morning. Jamal, truly, he understands marriage. He understands the blessing. I like what he said. He wrote me a little email. He said, he takes seriously what Father taught him. What Father taught. He doesn't see himself just as Jamal and Layla together. He sees a new creation which Father created, which is called Jamal Layla. It's a new creation. And the Bible says it too. That God brings the husband and wife together, that he will leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife as one now. One. You're one. You're a new creation. You're not only Jamal and Layla. Of course you have still individual responsibility, etc. But you're a new creation in God's eyes. You're a new creation. You are Jamal Layla. Jamal Layla. Jamal Layla. You are Tim Nosuk. You are Wanil Yanan. You're a new creation. And now, that doesn't exclude personal responsibility. You still have individual responsibility to not accept the spirit of defeat, because one individual in that new creation can screw it up. If you start inviting the spirit of defeat, inviting the devil of defeat, inviting the devil of despair, inviting the devil of self-sabotage, inviting you to start playing and adulterizing with him and start playing and stroking him, now you are becoming destroyed. Look at that. A ladybug is flying around in here. Look at that. Look how happy that fool is. That boy's happy. He's happy. He's doing. Or maybe it's a ladybug. Not all ladybugs are girls. There's also boy ladybugs, even though they're called ladybugs. Fly, ladybug, fly. Where are you? Fly, baby, fly. Be happy this day. Look at that. He's exhausted. He's on the table. Or she. Whatever, but he's flying. Listen to the word of God. Listen to the Spirit of God. He's flying. He said, I'm not going to stand in defeat. He said, I'm going to celebrate. He said, woo! He started flying around. Oh, yeah, I see him. He's right there. He's landing on the table. Look at that, the second table right there in front of Mrs. Kong. You see him? He was flying in the Holy Ghost. He said, I'm not going to stand in defeat. The Spirit of God said, may those curses be broken over you now. May those spirits be broken from you now. Get up off your booty. Get up out your chair. Claim the victory God has given you. Step into his anointing and spirit. Receive his rebuke. Receive his chastisement. Don't be scared of the rebuke. Receive the chastisement. Receive the rebuke. It's to make you stronger. And step into the realm of victory God has prepared. Grasp it. Don't just sit there lazy like a little invertebrate tentacle octopus jellyfish. Grab it. Grab it, claim it, and declare it over your marriage. Declare it over your relationship. Decree it with the Spirit of God. And stand with him in the victory which is part of God's destiny for you. We'll be right back after this short break.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Made in the USA. Visit car.com today. Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheonilguk. And we're now going to Mrs. Kong for our special K report in the morning. Tim.
Before Mrs. Khan begins, I'll read her Rima from the New Testament. It's in 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 7 and 8. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth,
Wow.
though it be tried with fire,
Oh.
might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ, whom having not seen ye love, in whom, though now ye see him not, yet believing, ye rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory.
Joy unspeakable. Woo! My Lord.
말씀하십시오.
There it is, right there.
안녕하십니까.
No, don't touch that. They were just it.
말씀드릴 내용은 체휼 신앙에 대해서 말씀드리겠습니다.
Today I'd like to speak to you about 체휼 신앙, that's faith that is learned through experience.
신앙생활은 체휼, 즉 체험이나 경험이 필요합니다.
Faith requires learning through experience. And that is, we need to go through certain experiences.
신앙의 경력이 아무리 길다 해도 체휼이 없는 신앙은 오래가지 못합니다.
No matter how long we may have been believing, a faith that is not based on a learned experience will not last. Will not last.
우리 신앙에 대단히 중요한 것은 3대 요소입니다.
There are three elements that are important to faith.
절대 신앙, 절대 부정, 절대 사랑입니다.
That is absolute faith, absolute denial, and absolute love.
아담 해와의 타락으로 말미암아 그들은 인류의 부모이었는데 타락함으로 말미암아 아담 가정은 파탄이 되고 말았습니다.
Adam and Eve were the parents of all humanity, but because of the fall, their family was ruined.
그 이후 하나님은 종교를 세워 파탄된 가정을 본연의 가정으로 복귀하기 위하여 지금까지 종교를 세워 역사해 오셨던 것입니다.
After the fall, God established a religion, and through religion, He has conducted His providence to take ruined families and bring them back to the original families.
그 다음은 무엇이냐 하면은 자기 주장에서 타락했기 때문에 이 모든 것을 우리들은 찾아야 할 과제가 남아 있습니다.
And people fell, Adam and Eve fell because they insisted on their own position, and so there is a task of restoring all this.
자기 중심에서 타락했기 때문에 오늘 우리들은 믿음을 통해서 하나님과 참 아버님 앞으로 갈 수 있는 길을 모색하고 또 그 길 속에서 살지 않으면 안 될 것입니다.
Adam and Eve fell based on their self-centeredness, and so now we need to, through faith, we need to find a way back to God that goes through true Father.
다음은 자기중심한 사랑을 요구했기 때문에 타락했던 것입니다.
And next, Adam and Eve fell because they demanded love centered on themselves.
불신하고 또 자아주관 또 자기 중심 삼은 것 때문에 모두를 다 잃어버렸습니다.
Because they insisted on gathering love and everything unto themselves, they ended up losing everything.
이런 것을 생각할 때에 오늘은 우리 신앙을 통해서 참 잃어버렸던 이 모든 조건을 찾으면서 나 한 자신이 지어주시었던 참 본 모습의 자기로 돌아가야 될 숙제가 남아있고 돌아가는 데는 어떻게 가야 되느냐 여기 대해서 좀 생각해 보기로 하겠습니다.
Today I'd like to think a little bit about how it is that we can recover the conditions that were lost as a result of our self-centeredness.
우리 조상이 타락한 그 선 이상으로 올라가야 되는 것입니다.
We have to go beyond the place where our ancestors, Adam and Eve, fell.
절대 신앙을 가지고 절대 부정을 해야 되는 것입니다.
We have to have absolute faith and absolute denial.
절대 신앙은 무엇을 가지고 할 수 있느냐 하면은 죽을 때까지 우리는 가야 되는 것입니다.
To have absolute faith, we need to continue in our faith until we die.
죽고 나서도 가고 또 죽으면서도 우리는 이 길을 가야 될 과제가 남아 있습니다.
we have to continue that faith even after we die. And even as we are dying, we have to maintain that faith.
그런데 사실 절대 신앙의 이 한계는 어느 정도이냐 하면은 죽으면서도 간다는 것은 참으로 쉬운 일이 아니었습니다.
But the most difficult thing about the absolute faith is this part about maintaining a faith even as we are dying.
죽으면서도 우리가 가려고 하고 또 죽으면서도 갈 때에는 여기에는 다시 부활의 역사가 나타날 수 있을 것입니다.
But if we are able to maintain faith, even in that situation, even as we are facing death, then there can be the providence of resurrection.
그래서 오늘 특별히 우리 센츄리 교회의 식구들은 앞에서 얻어맞고 옆에서 얻어맞고 핍박을 많이 받으면서 가는데 오늘 우리가 죽으면서도 이 길을 간다고 할 때는 정말로 우리는 그냥 편안히 누워서 가는 것이 아니라 앞을 향해서 우리는 죽으면서도 이 길을 가야 한다는 신념을 가지고 나갈 때에 많은 분들이 여기에 머리를 숙일 수 있을 것으로 생각이 되어집니다.
The members of Sanctuary Church today are being persecuted right and left and front and back in all directions. But if we have the determination that we will continue in this path, even as we are dying, then many people will bow their heads and submit to us.
또 더 나아가서 완전한 종교는 자기 부정에서부터 시작이 되는 것입니다.
The completed religion begins from the point of self-denial.
그렇기 때문에 우리는 잘 해야 되는데 예수님께서도 말씀하시기를 자기를 이기고 자기 십자가를 지고 자기를 부정하고 내 뒤를 따르라고 예수님도 말씀하셨던 것입니다.
Jesus also said that you must pick up your cross, you must bear your cross and follow me. And that means that we must deny ourselves.
이 부정의 판도가 얼마나 큰지 우리는 이걸 알아야 될 것입니다.
We need to know how large, how vast this aspect of denial is.
내 마음을 중심하고 몸까지 부정해야 합니다.
We have to deny not only our body, but also our mind.
사탄의 제일 처소가 어디냐 하면은 몸인 것입니다.
Satan's primary place where he is our body.
그래서 옛날에 아버님께서 많은 말씀을 하시는 중에도 유독히 하신 말씀은 너희들 몸 마음이 하나 되었느냐 할 때에 아무도 하나 되었다고 하는 사람은 없었습니다.
Many times, Father, while he was speaking, would pause and ask, "Are your mind and body united?" But there was never a person who could say that their mind and body were united.
오늘 우리들도 역시 몸과 마음이 언제든지 싸우고 있고 싸우게 되는 것은 왜냐하면은 타락이 원인이 되어 있기 때문입니다.
Even today, we can see that our mind and body are in conflict, and the reason for that conflict is that we are fallen.
그러기 때문에 아버님께서 옛날에 기도하실 때에 또 옛날에 복귀 섭리가 너무 어려웠기 때문에 하나님 어떻게 하면은 잘 할 수 있겠습니까 하고 기도했을 때에 하나님께서 말씀하시기를 자기를 부정하고 또 모든 것에 있어서 참으면서 가야 되지 참지 못하게 되면은 실패하는 것이다 하고 말씀했던 것입니다.
When things were difficult, Father would say, "Still, we need to continue. We need to endure this path. If you cannot endure, we cannot succeed."
그래서 예수님도 옛날을 십자가를 앞에 두고 기도하기를 할 수만 있으면은 이 자리를 나에게서 피하게 하소서. 그러나 내 뜻대로 하지 마시고 아버지의 뜻대로 하소서 한 그 아버지의 뜻을 위하여 예수님은 십자가 상에 달리게 되었습니다.
When Jesus was praying, he also prayed, if possible, let this cup pass from me. But not my will, but thy will be done. So when he was faced with the cross. And so Jesus, to the end, always was faithful to God's will.
그는 영예스러운 사체가 되었습니다마는 이 죽는 자리에서라도 아주 대담하게 모든 것을 약하게 보이지 않고 정말로 강한 자리에서 우리들에게 본을 보였었던 것입니다.
Even in the face of death, he did not show weakness, but he showed us a model of strength.
그 길이 쉬운 길이 아니었고 어려운 길이었으며 예수님 자신도 자체 부정을 정말로 몇십 번, 몇백 번 하셨을 것으로 생각이 되어 줍니다.
It was not an easy path. It was a very difficult path that Jesus walked. But he showed us the process of denial, not just tens of times, but hundreds of times.
그러나 그때마다 나는 인류를 위하여 하나님의 뜻을 위하여 가신다는 이 굳은 신념 때문에 하나님 편에 서 있다는 것을 자각했기 때문에 십자가도 고마운 마음, 감사한 마음으로 달게 받으셨던 것입니다.
But in every instance, he placed himself on God's side. In every instance, he had the conviction that he was working for the salvation of all humanity, and that is how he could achieve victory.
그래서 예수님께서도 절대 신앙, 절대 부정, 절대 사랑을 주장하시며 본인 자신이 그렇게 사셨던 것입니다.
And so that is why Jesus insisted on absolute faith, absolute denial, and absolute love, and that is the model that he showed us.
그런 길을 가시면서도 예수님은 무엇을 생각했느냐 하면은 정말로 지금은 내가 십자가에 달려 돌아가지만은 먼 후일 예수님의 십자가를 통하여 피를 흘리신 피를 통하여 온 인류가 다시 살 수 있는 부활의 역사가 일어나고 부활의 역사로 승리하신다는 그 소망 속에서 모든 것을 이기고 나갔었던 것입니다.
Jesus knew that even if he would die on the cross, that the blood that he shed would bring about the resurrection of humanity someday in the future.
우리들은 어떠한 길을 가야 되느냐 하면은 정말로 기쁨으로 노래하면서 가는 길이 아니고 진정 우리들이 뜻을 알았다고 할진대는 하나님의 안타까운 심정, 아버님의 슬픈 심정, 이걸 우리들이 체휼하면서 가야 되지, 이걸 우리가 느끼지 못한다고 할진대는 정말로 하나님과 아버님과 일체적인 자리에 선다는 것은 어려운 것입니다.
The path that we take is not a path that we go along just singing or humming along with happiness. Instead, we go a path where we need to experience God's heart and Father's heart of pain and sorrow. If we do not do that, then we cannot establish that personal relationship with God and Father.
하나님의 심정과 아버님의 그 심정을 우리가 정말로 체휼해서 내 자신이 체휼된 것을 실천하게 될 때에 여기에는 살아계신 하나님이 우리들과 더불어 동행, 동사, 동력해 주시는 기적이 나타날 것입니다.
We need to have that experience. That is, we need to learn through experience about God and about Father and about their heart. And if we are able to then practice what we have learned through those experiences, then God will accomplish amazing miracles through us.
자식이 부모에게 효도하기 위해서는 부모의 슬픈 그 심정을 체휼하고 느껴야 되지, 이것이 없을 때는 효도한다는 것은 상당히 힘든 길일 것입니다.
For a child to express filial piety to his parents, he needs to be able to experience the difficulties of his parents and know the difficult situation of his parents. It's difficult to express filial piety without that knowledge.
심정이 부모와 같지 않으면 또 하나님과 참 아버님과 같이 않으면은 효자도 효녀도 될 수 없고 충신 연료의 심정과 일치될 수 있는 그 기반을 내 마음 안에 닦아놓지 않으면은 우리는 정말로 실패하기 쉬운 것입니다.
We need to have that child needs to have the same heart as the parents, the same heart, and also the same heart as God and to Father in order to express filial piety, or else to be a loyal subject, loyal patriot. Without doing that, it will be easy for us to fail.
그러한 효자, 효녀의 심정, 충신, 열사의 심정을 우리가 갖기 위해서는 쉽게 되어지는 것이 아니었습니다.
It's not easy, though, for us to be able to learn through experience in that way, to learn about the Father's heart.
불타는 심정이 정말로 최고의 경지에 오를 때는 여기에는 하나님은 아시고 찾아오시고 아버님도 아시고 반드시 찾아오실 것입니다.
When our heart rises to the point where we are able to know God's heart, then Father will come to us and God will come to us and we will have that incredible unity.
우리는 그 언젠가는 하나님 앞에서 심판을 받아야 될 것입니다.
Someday we will have to face judgment before God.
이 천상의 심판은 어디에서 결정되어질 것인가 하면은 우리들이 정말로 어떤 위기에서라도 어떤 곤란한 입장에서라도 정말로 우리들은 확고부동한 이 심정, 하늘의 심정을 체휼할 때에 오늘 우리들에게는 그 열매로서 자기에게 정말로 하늘이 함께 하신다는 신념을 가질 수 있을 것입니다.
And when we are facing that judgment, we will be judged on the basis of the heart that we were able to maintain, even in the face of crisis, even in the midst of confusion.
다만 하나님의 심정과 참 아버님의 심정이 우리 자신의 몸에서 체휼되고 결실되어져서 그것이 하나님이나 참 아버님과 뗄래야 뗄 수 없는 인연이 된 그것만이 영생하는 조건이 될 수 있을 것입니다.
It is only when we are able to have a heart that is united with God so completely that we cannot be there cannot be any division. That even if someone were to try and cut our relationship with God, that it would not be severed. It is only then that we can have true eternal life.
아버님께서 누누이 말씀하셨습니다. 영적으로 전 세계에 신령한 이들 가운데는 나를 보는 사람도 있을 것이고 내가 생활해 왔다는 것을 느끼면서 사는 사람들이 있을 것이라고 저는 여러 번 들었던 것입니다.
Father often said that among the spiritually open people, there are people who can see how he lives and see what he is doing.
그래서 영적으로나 기도 가운데 또 더 나아가서는 아버님의 지도를 직접 받는 사람도 세계적으로 상당한 수에 이루고 있다고 말씀하셨습니다.
And he said that there are people around the world who, without other people knowing, are receiving Father's instruction and living their life according to Father's guidance.
그래서 지금은 그만큼 영계가 가까워지고 있다는 그런 경지에 우리는 서 있습니다.
And so we are living in a world today where the spirit world has become quite close to us.
이것은 오늘 우리만이 갖고 있는 힘이요, 자랑이요, 우리만이 갖고 있는 보화라고 볼 수 있는 것입니다.
This is a treasure. This is a strength, a strong point that only we possess today.
그래서 지금까지 종교가 체험적인 이 과정을 거치지 못했기 때문에 갈팡질팡하고 있으며 세속화되어 버리고 있는 것입니다.
It's because religions until now did not have this aspect of experience that they have become secularized and they have fallen away.
체유를 하기 위해서는 반드시 기도도 많이 하고 정성도 많이 드려야 되는 것입니다.
But to learn through experience, it's necessary for us to pray and offer a great sincerity and dedication.
그리고 거기에 나타나는 계시나 몽실을 아버님은 절대 무시하면 안 된다는 말씀도 하셨습니다.
And Father told us to be careful not to ignore the revelations and realizations that we receive through that process.
이렇게 영적으로 가르쳐 주신 내용을 현실적 생활 권내에서 실천 무대에 우리들이 세우고 실천해 나가야 할 것입니다.
We need to take the things that we receive through those experiences and put them into practice in our actual lives.
아버님도 정말로 영적인 입장에서 생활 그 자체가 영적인 생활을 하셨다는 것을 저는 많이 보았습니다.
And I saw a witness to how Father was also living his life in a spiritual way.
옛날에 지방 순회를 가시게 될 때에 나 오늘 어디 간다 이렇게 전화를 해놓고는 떠나실 때는 그 전화한 곳으로 가시지 아니하고 난데없이 다른 곳으로 갔었던 일이 있습니다.
There were times when Father would, when he was touring the country, he would make a phone call in the morning and say, "Okay, I'm going there today." But then, when he actually set out, he would go to a completely different place.
그래서 참 아버님은 이 전파를 따라서 움직이시고 모든 것이 하나님이 정말로 하라고 하시는 대로 하나님이 동행송사 동력하시는 가운데서 생활하신다는 것을 우리는 많이 보았습니다.
We saw many times how Father was living according to the spiritual waves or spiritual vibrations that he would receive, that he would do as God told him.
그래서 오늘 우리도 생활 가운데서 언제나 하나님께서 참 아버님께서 나와 같이 계신다는 것을 느껴야 하며 그렇게 살게 될 때는 그 생활 그 자체가 누가 보아도 정말로 머리 숙일 수 있는 누가 보아도 저의 생활은 감사하는 생활을 하고 있구나 생각할 수 있게 되는 것입니다.
So let us also live our lives with God and with Father. And when we can do that, then people will realize that this is how we are living, and they will listen to us.
그러기 때문에 하나님이 우리와 같이 하시는 생활을 우리가 하고 있다고 생각할 때는 이 생활은 정말로 살아있는 생명 있는 생활이 되는 것이고 이 생활은 정말로 자기를 중심 삼은 생이 아니고 하늘을 중심 삼은 참 생활이 될 수 있을 것입니다.
When we live our lives together with God, then we will be living our lives full of life. People will see that we are full of life, And we will not be living a self-centered life, but a life centered on heaven.
그래서 옛날에 아버님이 힘드셨답니다. 너무 힘이 들어 기도하실 때에 어떻게 하면 좋겠느냐고 하셨을 때에 음성이 들려왔는데 너를 부정하고 너 자신을 부정하고 살기 위해서는 죽어야 된다는 이 대답을 직접 들으셨다는 얘기도 들었습니다.
Father said that there was a time when things were very, very difficult, and Father prayed, "What shall I do?" And he said he heard a voice that said, "You need to die. In order to die, you need to die so that you may live."
그래야 복을 받을 수도 있지만은 복을 전 세계 인류에게 나누어 줄 수 있다는 말씀도 들으셨다는 얘기를 들었습니다.
He said he heard the voice say that you can receive blessing, but you can also become able to give blessing to all humanity.
생활 가운데서 하나님은 아버님에게 참아라, 참아라 하셨다고 했습니다.
He said God was always telling him to endure and to endure.
그래서 이 동양에서는 참을 인자는 마음에 칼자가 쓰여져 있다는 것입니다.
So in Chinese characters, the character for patience or endurance is a combination of the two characters for mind and a sword.
마음에다 칼을 들이대더라도 참는다는 뜻입니다.
It means that we must endure even if someone puts a sword to our mind or to our heart.
칼을 들이대면 얼마나 아프겠어요. 그렇지만은 1000번 참는 사람은 1000번 싸움에 이길 수 있고 또 여기에서도 소망을 가질 수 있는 것입니다.
How painful it would be if someone were to take a sword to our heart. But if a person can endure 1,000 times, he will be victorious 1,000 times.
그래서 한 번 더 생각하고 한 번 더 생각하면서 행동해야 되는 것입니다.
That is why before we act, we must think one more time and act on the basis of take another moment to think before we act.
아버님은 참기 훈련을 우리들에게 가르쳐 줬었지만은 아버님 자신도 얼마나 많이 참으셨는지 모릅니다.
Father also trained us in patience and endurance, but he also exercised incredible endurance.
참는다는 말은 어렵습니다마는 이것을 실천에 나오셨던 것입니다.
It's difficult to endure many times, but that is how Father practiced.
어려운 문제가 생기면은 내가 참음으로 말미암아 그 사람이 갖고 있는 복을 내가 전부 다 인계받을 수 있다는 이 심정으로 참으셨다는 것입니다.
The father endured with the thought that if he can endure a person who is giving him difficulty, then he can inherit all the blessing that that person has received.
그래서 성경에도 끝까지 참는 자는 복이 있다고 하셨습니다.
And so the Bible also says that those who are endured to the end will be blessed.
이 말씀을 보면은 오래 참으면은 반드시 복을 받을 수 있다고도 해석이 되어집니다.
And so this can also be understood to mean that if we endure a long time, then we will receive that much more blessing.
끝까지 참고 견디는데 하느님은 얼마나 참으셨느냐 하면은 6000년이라는 오랜 동안 참고 견디어 나오셨던 것입니다.
God has endured for 6,000 years.
그분이 누구시냐 하면은 하나님은 우리의 아버지셨던 것입니다.
And God is our Father.
우리는 그 아버지의 천풍과 피사를 이어받았기 때문에 그 아버지와 같이 우리도 참으면서 오늘 이 길을 승리해 나가야 하겠습니다.
Because we are God's children, we must also endure in order to live today and have victory in our lives today.
그렇기 때문에 타락한 세계에서의 생활 철학은 참고 견디는 것입니다.
And so the philosophy of our life in this fallen world should always be to have patience and to endure.
누구를 위해서냐면은 하나님과 우리 참 아버님을 위해서입니다.
We do that for the sake of God and for the sake of true Father.
여기서부터 효의 도리와 충의 도리가 여기서부터 나오는 것입니다.
That is where we get the philosophies of filial piety and of loyalty.
그래서 옛날 5대가 한 집에서 한 집안에서 아버님은 3대까지 한 집에서 살아야 한다고 하셨지요. 그런데 여기는 5대가 한 집안에서 산 어떠한 종갓집의 종손 며느리가 있었습니다.
There was a family that I knew where 5 generations were living under one roof. Father said that 3 generations should live, but this particular family had 5 generations, and I knew the daughter-in-law of that family.
그래서 많은 사람이 그 할머니에게 와서 어떻게 5대가 한 집에서 함께 살아왔는지 그 비결이 무엇이냐고 물었습니다.
Many people came to this woman. She was an old woman, and asked her, "How is it possible that 5 generations can live under one roof? What's the key? What's the secret?"
그러자 그 할머니는 그를 골방으로 데리고 가서 독을 열어 보였는 독이라는 거는 이렇게 항아리입니다.
예.
보여 주셨는데 네 항아리를 보여주었습니다.
Then the woman took that questioner, the person asking the question, to show them the not the vases, but the places where they stored various food in the ground. Yeah.
그래 그 독을 열어보니 무엇이 들어있었느냐 하면은 참을 인자가 네 독에 꽉 차 있더라는 것입니다.
It's a jar, a earthen jar that she opened and showed the questioner what was in the jar, and it was actually the character for endurance that was written on paper and was filled in that jar.
그런데 참기만 한 것이 아니라 견딘 것입니다.
She did not just endure, but she endured it to the end.
참는 데는 목적이 있어야 하는데 이 목적이 없으면은 참을 수가 없는 것입니다.
Endurance takes an objective. There has to be a purpose or a final goal for your endurance.
그때에 하나님의 원수요 인류의 원수를 잡아 죽이기 위해서 목숨을 걸고 원수를 몽땅 포위해서 전멸을 시키는 것과 같은 그 자리에서도 참고 견디고 나왔습니다. 아버님께서는
Father would endure even in the face of the greatest enemy.
그렇게 함으로써 세계 앞에 아버님은 만민의 참 부모로 나타나시게 되었던 것입니다.
That is how he could stand as the true parents of all humanity.
참기만 해서도 안 되는 것입니다. 견디면서도 아이고 힘들었다 하면은 안 되는 것입니다.
It's not enough just to endure, but because if we say, "Oh, that was really difficult," then we lose that condition.
참고 견디더라도 그것을 고맙고 감사하며 또 찬송하면서 참고 나갈 때에 이것은 참으로 참아왔다는 승리의 쾌감을 느낄 수 있는 것입니다.
It's when we are grateful for the difficulty, even as we endure. And if we are able to sing hymns even as we endure, then that is when we can have victory.
감사한 마음과 찬양하는 마음을 가지고 참고 견뎌야지. 불평하면서 참고 견디면 하나님이 우리에게 오시지 않는 것입니다.
If we are complaining in the process of enduring, then God cannot come to us.
참고 견디는 데는 무엇이 필요하냐 하면은 반드시 여기에는 감사하는 마음이 필요한 것입니다.
So we need to have a heart of gratitude even as we are enduring. That is absolutely necessary.
감사하는 마음이 없으면은 참지 못하는 것입니다.
Without that heart of gratitude, we cannot endure forever.
감사하는 마음이 밑받침이 되지 못하고는 참더라도 거기에는 하나님이 같이 하실 수 없는 것입니다.
Without that heart of gratitude, God cannot be present with us as we endure.
우리가 크다큰 목적을 정해놓고 그 목적을 이루기 위해서는 반드시 시간과 과정이 필요한데 그 과정을 어떻게 극복해 나가느냐 하는 것이 문제입니다.
As we endure, we have a goal before us, and we have to go through a certain time and process in order to accomplish that goal.
그러면 우리는 그 목적을 중심 삼고 매일같이 그 생활 환경에서 목적을 대하여 우리는 정말로 결사적으로 참고 견디면서 나갈 때에 승리의 열매를 거둘 수 있는 것입니다.
It's when we continually endure day after day, always keeping that goal in mind, that we can, in the end, achieve the fruit of victory.
그래서 우리 신앙인은 참고 나가는 데는 10대 재앙과 같은 고비길을 참으면서 이것을 극복해야 되는 것입니다.
And as we endure, we must even go beyond something like the 10 plagues of Moses.
신앙의 길은 극복의 길입니다. 극복하려면은 모르니까 정말로 덮어놓고 넘으려니 죽어져야 되는 것입니다.
The path of faith is a path of overcoming, and we need to continuously go over the obstacles that arise before us.
그래서 각 종교에서 무슨 얘기를 하느냐 하면은 신앙길을 가는 자들은 희생하라, 봉사하라, 머리를 들면은 큰일 난다고 하는 것입니다.
And so the religion tells the people to endure and to sacrifice.
그래서 예수님께서 죽고자 하는 사람은 산다고 했으니 죽겠다고 그저 파고 들어가다 보니 10대 재앙과 같은 정말로 극복 노정도 승리해 나갈 수 있고 고맙게 생각할 수 있는 것입니다.
Jesus said that in order to gain our lives, we must lose our lives. And so also, if we can sacrifice in that way, we can overcome something even as difficult as the 10 plagues of Moses.
아버님은 참는 이 방법에 대해서 많이 교육시켰었습니다.
Our Father taught us the secret to endurance.
이스라엘 민족은 메시아가 오게 되면은 자기 나라를 중심 삼고 세계를 제패하여 영광을 누리려 했다는 것입니다.
The Israelites thought that when the Messiah would come, that they would be able to take over the world, centering on their own country.
자기들의 행복을 꿈꾸었다는 것입니다.
They were thinking just about their own happiness.
비운의 역사에 있어서 슬픔과 더불어 사라지지 않고 정말로 그네들은 인류를 생각지 못하고 이스라엘 백성들은 자기 중심 삼고 살아왔기 때문에 결국은 망하고 말았던 것입니다.
But because they did not think of all humanity, but only thought of themselves, in the end they were destroyed.
마지막으로 우리가 가는 길에 있어서도 이 극복이란 과정을 거치지 않고서는 승리할 수 없습니다.
And so as we go on our path as well, without overcoming that kind of a thing, we cannot have victory.
이 극복은 수단 가지고 될 수 없는 것입니다. 방법 가지고도 될 수 없는 것입니다. 무엇으로 해야 되느냐 하면은 정성으로만 극복할 수 있습니다.
The only way to overcome in that way is through sincerity and dedication, not through any kind of an external means.
그래서 아버님은 얼마만큼 정성을 들여 정말로 하나님을 모셔왔느냐 하면은 저는 늘 그걸 생각해요. 아버님이 행사가 있을 때에 경배를 드리는데 그 모습을 보면은 정말로 살아계신 하나님에게 참 경배를 올리고 있다는 것을 저는 느꼈던 것입니다.
When Father would bow at the times of events, I could tell that he was bowing to the living God that he could experience.
그 정성 들이는 그 모습에 우리 식구들은 다 감동을 받고 야 하나님은 살아계시는구나 하는 것을 모두에게 느낄 수 있게끔 교육해 주었던 것입니다.
When we saw the sincerity that he expressed, the sincerity that in dedication he expressed before God, we also learned how to express that sincerity and dedication.
이러한 체율적인 신앙이 아버지와 아들, 딸의 인연을 맺을 수 있고 인연이 되어질 수 있게끔 만들어 주었던 것입니다.
And it was through that kind of sincerity and dedication that he could have the father-son relationship with God.
이 모든 것이 다 나를 위해서 우리를 위해서 해 주시고 갔었던 것입니다.
He did all of this for us before he passed to the spirit world.
그래서 오늘 아침 우리들도 아버님께서 그만큼 참 정성을 들이면서 인류를 위하여 모든 것을 바치고 쏟으면서도 고맙고 감사한 마음을 가지고 해주셨다는 것을 생각하고 우리도 고맙고 감사한 마음을 가지고 오늘 이 일을 승리하면서 가야 하겠습니다. 고맙습니다.
So also this morning, let us remember the way that our Father expressed sincerity and dedication to God with a heart of gratitude. And let's also express that, have that same attitude within our own lives and live our lives of faith in that way. Thank you very much.
고맙습니다.
And then he said to the man, stretch out your hand. And he stretched it out, and it was restored as whole as the other. Folks, remember today, that's all sometimes we have to do, is take that step of faith and just stretch out the hand. And that little activation of faith and that little activation of relationship is the beginning of the unlocking of God's plan and gift that he has for us. We'll be right back after this short break.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Little hands, shoeless feet, lonely eyes looking back at me. Will we leave behind the innocent to grieve? On at me. Will we leave behind the innocent to grieve? On their own, on the run, when their lives have only begun. These could be our daughters and our sons. And just like a drum, I can hear their hearts beating. I know my God won't let them be defeated. Every child has a dream to belong and be loved. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name in victory. When we love the least of these, when we love the least of these. Break our hearts once again. Help us to remember when we were only children hoping for a friend. Won't you look around? These are the lives that the world has forgotten, waiting for doors of our hearts and our homes to open. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name in victory. When we love the least of these, when we love the least of these. If not us, who will be like Jesus to the least of these? If not us, tell me who will be like Jesus to the least of these. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love. Little hands, shoeless feet, lonely eyes looking back at me. Will we leave behind the innocent to grieve? On their own, on the run, when their lives have only begun. These could be our daughters and our sons. And just like a drum, I can hear their hearts beating. I know my God won't let them be defeated. Every child has a dream to belong and be loved. Boys become kings,
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of Cheonggyu, sporting my Tongyil mark tie. Look close to that. Look very close. Those are Tongyil marks. Look real close. See that? Can you see that? These little yellow ones are Tongyil marks. Can you see that? This was made in Korea many years ago. We made a whole bunch of different colors. Father also wore our Tongyil mark tie. Look at this. Look at this on the back. Look at that. See that? Look at that. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? But yeah, Mr. Lee is brought a whole not brought a whole batch, but we may be making them again, bringing them back into style. But let's go to our very shocking video. Now, I saw this yesterday. Absolutely shocking. How dangerous the chemicals are that they're pumping into young children, forcing them to take vaccines, up to 56 vaccines. How many is that, Tim, now? That are required in just dozens and dozens of vaccines. It used to be only 3, 4. But it's unbelievable how dangerous these vaccines are. Let's take a look at this clip from Infowars.com on vaccines.
From aspiring pop star to paralyzed in just days, shocking picture of 12-year-old left bedridden in hospital after being given controversial HPV vaccine, but doctors want to section her.
Right, and basically the doctors are saying it's all in her head, but I love how this article starts off. Standing proudly as she clutched a microphone and belted out a tune, 12-year-old Maya Blesky dreamed of being a pop star. However, days after being videotaped, she found herself unable to move, and just weeks later was left paralyzed from the neck down and in hospital, in a hospital. But I'm in hospital now.
That's how they speak there.
I'm
across the
in
pond.
hospital.
In hospital.
Mia's family claims she suffered from an alleged reaction to the controversial HPV vaccine. However, doctors claim that her problem is psychological. And the only way to help the family is to section her.
Because I always
That's what a 12-year-old kid would do.
I'm paralyzed from the neck down.
I don't want to walk anymore. And we have a clip, and they show video of her trying to walk with a cane, and she's barely making it down the hall. This is what happened, and we've got more video we're going to show of women in other parts of the world, not just, is this in England or in...
Yeah, they're not all getting together and saying, oh, the big trendy
right,
thing
they're not all conspiring
paralyzed.
on social media, like, I'm gonna pass out in the hallway. No, these people are literally being chemically lobotomized and turned into...
Do you want to play that video first, Rob?
Let's go to the video. People need to see it to believe it, because it's kind of hard, and we'll narrate some over top of it. Let's go to the clip.
I'm Ginny Blesky, and this is my daughter Mia, who's 12. On the 21st of September last year, 2016, she had the first HPV vaccination at school.
Here I am, I can't lift my head. Here she is, she's in bed and can't lift her head.
Yeah, it's a psychological thing, I'm sure. A young kid that loves running and playing and being happy,
in either side of her spine, all the way up her back. We took her to the doctors. They said take her home and give her some paracetamol and put her in the bath.
Look how psychologically damaged she is. She can't even walk.
So we recalled the on-call doctor, who said just go straight to A&E. We took her straight to A&E, and they admitted her for a few days. We've done video diaries right from the first day all the way through up until now. And basically within
Wow,
days,
get this girl an Oscar. I mean, if she's acting here, she deserves an Oscar. That is insane.
And we've got more excellent acting footage coming up too. But this, and so what's the doctor's result? No, it can't be the vaccine. They're safe and effective because we've been telling our people that for so long.
It's all in
your
head.
We have to believe it.
Like, really?
It's all in your head, safe and effective.
That the millions of vaccines you give out a year, that there's not, I mean, we want to protect you from all these things. You know, we're going to inject you. We're going to inject you. Meanwhile, they're spraying Roundup everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and here are these girls.
I can't,
in
honestly,
Mexico.
this stuff is hard to watch.
This is the girls in Mexico immediately after being given the shot. They got to hold them down because they're having these convulsions. And then you take your kid to the
doctor.
doctor.
Look at the muscles, the way the muscles
Yeah,
I mean,
the
I would want to
muscles.
kill somebody if this happened to my kid.
Right. And so they basically tell them, oh, that's normal. Those convulsions will go away. You know, they'll just... I mean, they're basically telling you, as a parent, you can tell something is wrong here.
gosh.
That's not normal for the doctor to
Dude,
say.
I am not a slave. You cannot force me to inject my kid with this poison.
Right.
This is sick.
Well, there's actually another story from February, and this happens again and again, but just a furious mother is upset because the daughter was given her 13-year-old daughter was given this HPV vaccine without parental consent from the school.
Without parental consent.
And this is happening here in the U.S. as well, that they're giving these to kids as young as 13 years old. They do not need parental consent.
Let me give people a quick note here. This is a school in Mexico, a grade school in a section of Mexico, and they had just given a bunch of girls the round of shots. You can see they're wearing uniforms. And there's maybe 10, 11 girls lying on the floor. They have the schoolboys helping hold them down so they don't go crazy. But you should see some of these, and they're not convulsing the whole time. It goes through waves. It actually, it peaks. It's like a contraction. Your body freaks out for a little bit and then it calms down. And then it starts freaking out again and it calms down. And people saw this video. Like you can see some of the boys, they're kind of laughing. They're smiling. And they're like, oh, it's fake. They're laughing. No. They're freaked out.
They're kids.
And that's a natural reaction for a kid to go,
I
don't know what's going on.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of funny. And you're
Especially
also
when it's
touching
like
a
something
girl.
real serious.
Yeah, and they're having to hold girls down, and this is not something they do normally. And there's a narration over top of this. It's in Spanish, so you'd have to speak Spanish to know what they're saying. But what he's saying is,
and the federal government forces the kids to take them.
Right.
Yeah, you're
in bed with the chemical companies.
And slam her head into the back. And
that's why they love federal governments and archangels.
Problems associated with the Gardasil vaccine include immune
because they can force you to do this.
Neurodegenerative disorders. So this suggests that something is causing the immune system to overreact in a detrimental way, sometimes fatally. HPV is linked to nervous.
If that was your daughter, I would kill somebody.
Girl. So there it is. It's also. Particularly with those underlying adjuvants that we're always talking about with aluminum, that could be triggering this disease. But there's researchers at the University of British Columbia in 2012, they show that the vaccine's effectiveness is not only overstated, but also
but they say safe and effective,
so basically you have these HPV makers just coming out and saying, you have to do this, we're going to give it to your kids. And oh, by the way, if they end up getting, because it makes them 3 times more susceptible to get other strains of HPV after they get this, because it only protects them from a certain. So the answer that the pharmaceutical companies say is, they need to get a 4th shot of this brand new version of Gardasil, and this one protects you against 5 different strains, which then it just continues this snowball effect, making these girls
hardcore drugs. Hardcore drugs.
You don't have a choice.
Hardcore adrenal destroying, immunofunction, obliterating chemical drugs. Which were never intended to go into your body.
Video, and then we have this article from Anthony Gucciardi. Like, this video is disturbing. This should disturb you. A room full of girls convulsing after
I'm honestly getting sick and pissed off watching this because you know what? I know people that have gone into the medical industry that are doctors. I have a family that works on vaccines that will sit here and they'll say the same thing. Oh, those people are faking, or oh, that's this. You know what? I'm sorry, but F you, okay? F you, if you're gonna sit here and watch a video of young girls literally convulsing because of a vaccine that you say is safe and effective, F you. You are disgusting if you can watch that video and sit here and say safe and effective, safe and effective. F you. F you.
We almost had this same type of stuff going on in Texas. Rick Perry had to be bribed somehow to mandate that all girls, I think it was 12 years old and up, we're going to have to take the Gardasil vaccine to stay in school. And people were revolted. People said, no, look at this. It's unproven. It's unnecessary.
I think the name of the doctor was Dr. Wood, who was one of the engineers of it, said, yeah, this is not safe and effective. It kills embryo.
Right. And so these researchers at the University of British Columbia, they said they note evidence of selective reporting of results from clinical trials. Oh, where have we heard that before? So they have selective testing there. So the claim that HPV vaccination will result in approximately 70% reduction of cervical cancers hasn't been proven. It hasn't been demonstrated, and it hasn't actually prevented.
It's human testing. Do you understand that, folks? Human testing. Not
a single case that they can prove.
They test chemicals on you when you give them power. Can you understand that, children?
Was the one.
Your government is not your loving daddy.
The way they get the effective from is
The
They
federal
inject you
government
with the
is
vaccine, then
in
they test
bed
your blood,
with
and they go, "Oh, if you have antibodies,
monopolies
it's working."
and big
It doesn't mean it's doing
pharmaceutical
anything. They just go, "Oh, you have
companies
antibodies. Your body's
who
fighting
want
this
to
off,
make
whatever it is." So that means
money,
it's working.
money,
That's how they prove that these
money
things are safe and
by
effective.
forcing
Let's go to this
your
article. I wanna read the second
children
paragraph.
to
3
get
girls dead, others
lobotomized.
hospitalized after Gardasil HPV vaccine. As of June 2009,
And as you
now
can
this was written in
see,
2011,
those
we're a
young
long way off
girls
from there.
are not
15 million girls have been
acting.
injected with the
They
Gardasil
are
vaccine,
convulsing. You
and
can
out
see
of
the
that, they've had
tenseness in their
49
muscle
deaths,
being
which,
stretched
okay, that's not a lot out
forward.
of 15 million.
The
But it
human
doesn't matter
body
for
doesn't
something that
move
you
like
didn't
that
have to
normally.
get.
Right.
And now you're dead because of it. Unfortunately, there are more
And they
more
say,
cases
oh,
of
it
extreme
prevents
side effects from
cervical
vaccination.
cancer.
In fact, the amount of adverse
Well, it
reactions
may
is so high that
paralyze
a
you.
group that claims to expose government corruption
If you're
was forced to
paralyzed
step
and
in.
lobotomized,
Between
okay, that may
2009 and
prevent some
2010,
type of other
from May to
thing,
September
but you can never
alone,
move
Gardasil was
again.
linked to 3,500 harmful adverse reactions and 16 deaths. Of
Vaccines,
the
time and
3,500
time
adverse
again,
reactions, many were debilitating.
not only Gardasil
Permanent
shot,
disability
but
was
also
resulted in
the
213
what is the
cases,
other one?
25 resulted in a diagnosis
The
of
flu
Guillain-Barré
vaccine.
syndrome, and another 789 were
Other types
serious
of vaccines
reports,
which,
according to the FDA.
which,
so maybe you didn't die,
have
but
been,
hey, you can't walk.
connected
hey, you
to
can't think
autism.
anymore. Hey, you need extra
You're
help.
infertile.
And just every
Yeah.
You no longer
year,
have
more and
children.
more
And that's
vaccines
another
that
big thing about
you
it
have
that
to
they don't
pump
know. A lot of
into
these
your
things have
children.
infertility agents in them to make
By,
people
and who is that
not
enforced by?
fertile.
Who is that forced
And
upon
it's
the
the same with
families?
the
Thank God in
tetanus
America
vaccine.
we
It makes
still
it
have
makes men sterile.
Well,
the
and
freedom of
what
religion
really
clause,
just
but in
angers
other
me so much
countries
about this
they don't
is
have
that
that.
the doctors
if you don't
won't even
agree
get behind
to
vaccine
lobotomize
choice.
your children chemically
That's
with
my issue here.
vaccines,
Why don't I
you
have
get
a
thrown in
choice?
prison.
You have the choice to abort your baby, but you don't have the. See, you have. Oh, I've got all the freedom in the world. My body.
Impacts of vaccine: aluminum, autoimmunity, autism, and Alzheimer's. Dr. Bernard Dahlberg, a former worker with industry physician with Gardasil manufacturer Merck, I predict that Gardasil will become one of the greatest medical scandals of all time because at some point in time the evidence will add up to prove that this vaccine has absolutely no effect on cervical cancer and that all the very many adverse effects which destroy lives and even kill serve no other purpose than to generate profit for the manufacturers, the people who work for them, who then quit. And this is why the big conglomerates love centralized power. Because if you get one customer, which is the central government, you can use them to force an entire population, America, for example, 300 million people. You can force 300 million people to buy and take your vaccine. How do you do that? By putting them through the public school system and forcing them to get all these vaccines if they want to play sports, if they want to be included in this or that activity, if they want to go to school, if they want to learn biology, whatever it is. So then let's say you have 300,000 people. You average, let's say on average we have 2 children per family. So then you have 600,000 people coming up. Or let's say you have let's just say on average you have 2 per family. I'm sorry, so that would replace the population of family of 2, husband and wife. So let's say you have 300 million people coming up, young people. Now you can force all of them to get your Gardasil vaccine, or you can force all of them to get your flu vaccine, or you can force all of them to get your whatever other vaccine. Per vaccine, you charge $100. What would that make that? 300 million becomes 3 billion becomes $30 billion out of one shot. One shot. Do you see how it adds up to big money? When you can secure one federal government as your customer, they now can enforce and use the power of brute force, which government is. Government is not reason, it is not eloquence, it is force, as George Washington said. It is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Did you see those young girls' lives ruined by this? Over 70,000 young Indian people in India paralyzed because of Bill Gates vaccines. Pick up pictures on Indian vaccines paralyzation. Indian children, innocent, did nothing wrong, Bill Gates makes a contract with India to get his billions of dollars so he can walk around on Forbes magazine saying that he's the world's biggest billionaire, pretending and virtue signaling that he's saving the world with vaccines. Meanwhile, he's profiting. Not the profit of that, but this is colluding. This is not free market profiting. This is collusion. There it is. Oh, the polio vaccine. There it is. Polio vaccine program causes 47,500 deaths. Over 70,000 paralyzations. Let's see some of those pictures. Do we have pictures of people paralyzed there? In Delhi. He's actually being sued by the Indian government. Of course, that won't go anywhere because he's so protected by the international cartels. This is the world the elites want you to live in, where you are weak, you're chemicalized, you're lobotomized, you're poisoned. They can do whatever you want in your family. They can treat you like animals and sheep and livestock. They can tax farm you. They can use force to do it. They can censor you. They can do whatever they want. That is a privilege of the elites, where they live in neo-feudalistic cultures and neo-colonial cultures. This is what they want. They are filled with the spirit of Satan. You saw those young people, lives destroyed. You saw them convulsing. There they are. There's a child in India that's completely paralyzed because of Bill Gates. Do we have any other pictures of that? Bill Gates, whose father was the chairman of Planned Parenthood, the chair of Planned Parenthood, known atheist. See, if you don't believe human beings have a soul, and you're an atheist, and you believe that just evolution and these are animals, well then what's the point? What's the difference between tests on chimpanzees and orangutans, which are basically, they always say are humans. They always say chimpanzees should have rights too. What is the difference between lab testing on animals and rats, and especially chimpanzees, the higher cognitive animals, and a human being, if you don't believe there's a soul? What is your metaphysical context by which to stop you from saying, oh, we shouldn't lab test on human beings? Especially, for example, you're Bill Gates and you think you have a higher IQ, you're a higher level species than the regular human being. There is none. That's why these elitists who are atheists get into eugenics, which is the whole pure gene manipulation and gene science. There's a reason why they get into lab testing on human beings, chemicalizing human beings, because they literally think they are God's gift to humanity, and they don't even believe in God. But if you don't believe in a soul, that human being has a soul and has eternal value, what is preventing you from testing on them, from killing them, treating them like livestock, tax farming them? What is preventing you? Absolute zero. You're accountable to no one. You can view human beings as livestock and sheep and animals and pigs. Then what's stopping you from eating human beings? The super elite, Transylvania, Vlad the Impaler, drinking human blood. Satanist worship and rituals where they literally sacrifice this is historical, human children. Put them on the altars of Baal. That still continues to this day. With black market cannibalism. What is stopping you? The Chinese atheists harvest human beings. They kill human beings and harvest their organs and profit off their organs. What is stopping them? Absolutely zero. Because when you're not accountable to God, and there is no God in your worldview, when you have power, you can do anything you want. If you can get away with it, you can do it. You can get away with pedophilia and raping children and sex trafficking them and murdering them like Sir Edward Heath, necrophilia, killing them and then having sex with their dead bodies. You can get away with it. Ends justify the means. No accountability, no God. Human beings don't have souls, they're not eternally valuable. They're just pieces of flesh that you can exploit, you can pleasure yourself off of, and then throw them in the trash. Oh, but you're told atheism is empowering. You're told atheism is intellectual. You're told atheism is nouveau riche. A nouveau and avant-garde. No, atheism is vapid. It is empty. It is cold-blooded. It is brutal. And it leads you to have no heart towards another person. In the end, metaphysics contextually. Doesn't mean all atheists are mean-spirited. But contextually, it leaves you with no philosophical grounding to value human life. Absolutely none. Because you have to see human beings as just an evolutionary process of animal. They're no more valuable than a squirrel, than a pig, or an ape. So really, it makes the whole idea of human rights ludicrous. That's one of Stefan Molyneux's biggest things. He actually says he cannot prove human rights. Even though he believes in them and wants to something. He cannot say they exist or that they should exist as an atheist. You've seen those. I mean, look at these young people's lives. Look at this young girl's life. She wanted to be a pop star. She wanted to sing. She wanted to perform in front of people. And look at her life. Look at that. Look at that. Because of one vaccine. I mean, that is petrifying to see. That is so. Look at her feet. I mean, just completely paralyzed. Look at her feet, just completely rock hard as she has to walk on the balls of her feet. And doctors say, oh, it's just psychological. No, all these deaths and all these autisms and all these convulsions and people dying and no, that's all psychological. You must keep consuming this product. After all, the doctors are salesmen for the big conglomerate pharmaceutical companies. You understand that. You understand that the doctors are given bonuses for how many vaccines they give for certain companies. Do you understand that? But you're supposed to believe in that medical establishment, that medical priesthood. Whatever they say is gospel, and whatever they say is safe and effective. Well, pay no attention to these videos. Pay no attention to those crazy mothers and daughters who are psychologically making things up. When now for their whole life, they can't walk anymore. From their whole life, that girl can't stand on a stage. Oh yeah, they're making it up. I'm sure they want to be paralyzed for the rest of their life. I'm sure they want to try to walk on the balls of the feet and walk with a cane for the rest of their life. I'm sure. Yes, of course. Yes, you're loving pharmaceutical companies. You're loving chemical companies. You're loving federal government who forces you to take them and forces you to inject your children with dozens, up to, 50, 60 vaccines now they're up to with kids. I mean, give me a break. Pick up the list of vaccines required by government. It used to be 3 or 4. Now it's 67. How many is it? I heard, was it 60? In the 50s and 60s? I mean, it's just ridiculous. If you understand the real way the world works, you understand the collusion of the monopolies and federal governments. So you see, in China, this can't happen. You understand? Because there's no federal government for them to use as force, to force kids to go to public school and force them to get vaccines. Otherwise, they can't go to school or can't play sports. No, see? Everything's controlled at local level. Pharmaceutical companies cannot force people to poison their own children. See, it's a place where people can be free. Not only free to do what they want because there's responsibility, free from coercion, free from the archangel, free from forceful government, free from being chemicalized and lobotomizing your children, destroying their lives. There it is, there it is. Dose after dose after dose after dose. Massachusetts school immunization requirement, okay. There's other ones that, like California, I think, forces them to do millions, I mean, not millions, dozens. California mandating more and more shots for kids. Anyways, as our team looks for that, I mean, just unbelievable. Look at this girl right here convulsing. Put my screen up here. I mean, look at this. Look at her neck being stretched. Ah! Ah! Look at that, how they're trying to hide her. Look at that, how the nurses are trying to hide her away so that people can't see that. Look at that. Trying to pretend that it's normal. They're just trying to massage her. So, oh, you're fine, honey, you're fine. Your body is convulsing and your body is breaking down. Did you see that, Amma? Did you see that? Can you imagine if that was Gungi? Ah! Do you see how wicked that is? Forcing young children. Saying that it claims to prevent cervical cancer when there's no proof. I mean, this is it's unbelievable that these people can get away with this. That they can get away with this. See, this is what you get. This is what you get when you put your faith in government. Not in God, but in government. So you put your faith in God, you remain free. You remain responsible. You remain long-term thinking. You understand people's value in the soul. You put your faith in government, government becomes your God. You get this. You get coercion. You get profiteering off of you. You get farmed. You get colluded with companies, not only pharmaceutical, this is only pharmaceutical. This is the only dimension of pharmaceutical companies, let alone media, let alone hospitals, let alone businesses and tech companies and insurance companies. That's the whole Obamacare scandal, etc. All collude with government to create monopolies. Do you understand that? To exploit you. But you're sold that the loving government loves you. You're sold that government is your daddy, especially China saying filial piety to the government. No, it is the archangel. It is a demonic force. Human beings are not meant to be slaves to a demon. Human beings are not meant to be slaves to the beast. Human beings are made to be the master of the beast. And that's why in the kingdom of God, it is prohibited that the federal bureaucracy gets beyond 10% of GDP. Prohibited. Human tax farming, prohibited. No property tax, prohibited. Income tax, prohibited. Illegal. No amendment process, no changes can be made to the Constitution of the kingdom of God. You understand? It's a place where permanently, the archangels and the psychotic individuals that collude and centralize and congregate at centralized power can never rule over humanity again. Very disturbing images, very disturbing, shocking video. But you need to see it to believe it. We'll be right back after this break. Let's end with this video. Pull out with that video.
Article from Anthony Gucciardi.
We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Like, this video is disturbing. This should disturb you. A room full of girls convulsing after
I'm
taking
honestly
these
getting
movies.
sick and pissed off watching this because you know what? I know people that have gone into the medical industry that are doctors. I have a family that works on vaccines that will sit here and they'll say the same thing. Oh, those people are faking, or oh, that's this. You know what? I'm sorry, but F you, okay? F you if you're gonna sit here and watch a video.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of China. Let's go to this article. Congress okays Planned Parenthood funding crackdown as Pence breaks the tie. Finally, it's about time. In Washington, Republican legislation letting states deny federal family planning money to Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers squeezed narrowly through the Senate Thursday, rescued by an ailing GOP senator who returned to Capitol Hill after back surgery, and a tie-breaking vote by Vice President Mike Pence. In Congress's latest clash mixing the politics of abortion, women's health, and states' rights, Pence cast a decisive vote in a 51-50 roll call. Wow, look at that. The tally had been tied after two GOP senators, Alaska's Lisa Murkowski and Maine's Susan Collins, two women senators who are pro-killing children, joined Democrats. They joined the commies, you understand? Opposing the measure. Get rid of those senators out there. Senate approval sent the legislation to President Donald Trump, who was expected to sign it. The House voted its consent last month. The bill erases a regulation imposed by former President Barack Obama shortly before he left office that lets states deny family planning funds to organizations only if they are incapable of providing those services. Some states have passed laws in recent years denying the money to groups that provide abortions. Passage gave Republicans and anti-abortion groups a needed victory just 6 days after the party's highly touted health care overhaul disintegrated in the House due to GOP divisions. Besides erasing much of Obama's 2010 health care law, the failed House bill would have blocked federal funds for Planned Parenthood for a year. Oh man, that would have been so good. That's one thing good about that bill, even though there's nothing good about Obamacare Light. It would have at least blocked funds to Planned Parenthood for a year. There is already a ban on using federal funds for abortion except for rare instances. Democrats assailed the legislation as an attack on women 2 months after Trump's inauguration prompted a women's march on Washington that mushroomed into an anti-Trump demonstrations around the nation. While Trump Care was dealt a significant blow last week, it is clear that the terrible ideas that underpin it live on with Republicans in Congress, said Senator Patty Murray, Democrat of Washington, using a nickname for the failed House care bill. Murray, among a stream of Democratic women senators who spoke, called the Senate measure shameful and dangerous. Republicans said the measure would give states more freedom to decide how to spend family planning funds. States would be free to divert money now going to groups that provide abortion to other organizations that don't, like community health centers. It substituted Washington's judgment for the needs of real people. Hey, doesn't that make sense? Let the people decide, not the stupid bureaucrats in Washington that can be bought off with lobbying money and by the conglomerates and by major lobbying groups like Planned Parenthood. They can be bought off and then force everybody to use their services. You see, people, oh my goodness. With Republicans holding 52-48 control of the Senate, the Collins and Murkowski defections could have derailed the bill because Senator Johnny Isaacson, Georgia has been absent since February 20th when he had spinal surgery, et cetera, et cetera. So that is one victory in stopping Planned Parenthood's monopoly and using federal force to perpetuate the murdering of children. Another shock video here. Video shows Saudi man literally hurting veiled Muslim women with a stick. Is this a brand of Islam feminists want to import to the West? A disturbing video out of Saudi Arabia shows a man with a stick literally herding, H-E-R-D, herding veiled young Muslim women with a stick as they wait for their male guardians before being allowed to leave. The clip shows a man allowing some students to leave before he orders the others to return indoors by banging a stick against a metal handrail. At the end of the clip, he appears to strike one of the women on the head with the stick. According to Saudi Arabia feminists who posted the video on Twitter, it shows a high school guard fulfilling his duties, which include making sure the students are always fully covered and ensuring women are caged until their guardians or drivers come home. Every girl in high school and college has a man outside protecting them, preventing them from leaving with unrelated men, she added. When I was a rebellious teenager, I used to take off my veil when I reached my car. This usually pissed off the guard, and he used to report me. Meanwhile, another shocking video out of Algeria shows Muslims, both men and women, arguing that a man who doesn't beat his wife isn't a real man. A real Algerian woman, if her husband doesn't beat her sometimes, she'll feel it's not manly. It makes me happy, says one woman. Let's take a look at this video, how high school girls are treated in Saudi Arabia. There they are getting beaten by the Saudi man. There they're getting hit, getting beaten over the head. Well, girls, that's tolerance. All you stupid liberal lunatic girls who are in the cult of state worship, the cult of worship of Marxist professors and idiot lunatics. There it is. This is the culture you're protecting. There it is. Great job. 60% of Algerian women think a husband has the right to beat his wife, according to a UNICEF study cited in the video. Let's take a look at this video about beating your wife. It's the happy culture of beating your wife. The happy, happy culture of Islam. Let's look at it.
Une femme algérienne حرة لو كان ما يضربهاش راجل هذه فتحسوا رجلة.
Oh, she's so happy. She loves getting beat by her husband. See, see, these people are in a cult. They're in a death cult. They're brainwashed to believe that God wants them to be beat up. They're brainwashed to believe that their husband can see them as property. Do you understand that? And so when you have the lunatic leftists saying that Wahhabi-based Islam is same as Christianity, they are lying to your face. They are completely lying to you. They want to conflate what the Bible says about wife to submit to your husband and for husband and wife to submit to one another in Christ and for the husband to be the head of the household and to be the priest of the household. They want to say that is the same as your wife being your property and you have the right to beat her whenever she gets uppity. You see, all those feminists and leftist lunatics, they have a problem with Christianity And it's God's calling for men to be responsible and to take the priest of the family house seriously, role seriously, to lead their family in prayer, lead their family in spiritual warfare, to lead their family into victory, to lead their family against Satan, to lead their family against political Satanism, etc. Okay, if your husband is doing that, most women don't have a problem submitting to him because he's basically like a pastor in the house. He's spiritually leading the house. He's spiritually serious about spiritual life, about raising his children to have a spiritual perspective. Most women have no problem being led by a husband like that. Now, as a husband, it's a Christian husband, told to beat his wife when she gets uppity? Is he commanded by Jesus Christ to see her as property and tilth to be plowed how he wishes? No, he's commanded to have leadership, and he's commanded, both spouses are commanded to submit to one another in love and respect. Oh, but you're told that Christianity is the same as Islam. Because Islam says that Jesus is one of their prophets. And they say they believe in Jesus, even though they don't believe he died on the cross, even though they don't believe he was God in the flesh, which is central to Christianity. So when you see these shock videos, of course, which the lefted lunatics don't want you to see, of real women, do you understand? They're no different than you women who are watching this program. But they're smiling, they're laughing, saying that, oh yeah, Algerian women, we really like our husbands to beat us, and we think it's manly. Let's continue on with this video. When she angers me a lot, I beat her. Look at it. See that? Did you see that? Hold on. Let's go back to the video. It's jumping. It's jumping. Okay. Okay, see, there it is. Oh, but hey, aren't you told, girls, in Europe that, look at that, he's a minority male. You're told that you should be attracted to him and you should want to marry him and be tolerant of his culture. And he's a handsome young male. He would never do that to you. What does he say? And your lunatic professors tell you you should be dating and having sex with these boys in Europe, especially in Europe. Of course, they were trying to unleash that program in America, but thank God the Christian evangelical community stopped it. But look what happens. You're told in Europe that you should be dating these kind of boys. But what do they actually believe? See, what do they actually believe? The guy was just asked, okay, you have a wife? Do you beat her? The guy says, yes. You beat her hard? No, I beat her normally. Maybe just punch her in the face a couple times, slap her in the face. And when she pisses me off, just beat her upside the head a couple times. Healthy marital behavior. With a slap or so. Have you ever beaten your wife? Sometimes, when she annoys me. If you come tired from work, something's not there, you get mad. Beating her is, what do you say? What do you say? Beating. It goes so fast. Beating her is something logical. There you go. And he's in a trendy little supermarket with pink and yellow and green shampoo bottles behind. Woo, oh yes. Beating her is something logical. And this is what the feminists are trying to import into Europe and the US? Wow, see, you girls who are brainwashed in this cult, you should be able to see that these people don't have your best interests in mind. they really don't give a schmita about you. Beating her is something like, let's go. She did mistakes. She corrected them. If she doesn't get beaten and is not taken on that path, she won't succeed. Oh yes, it's compassionate beating. Sometimes he beats me. Oh, she's so happy. Oh, what a happy woman. Yes, her husband beats her. Yes, good for him. She's such a happy woman. Look at her, she's so happy. She gets beaten by her husband. Oh, so wonderful. That's the kingdom of heaven. Oh, my Lord. Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, sometimes he beats me. 60% of Algerian women think a husband has a right to beat his wife. Well, if you're a Muslim, you can't go against the Prophet's teaching. It should be 100%. And the Wahhabis and Orthodox radical Muslims, Islam, believe the whole world has to be covered, taken over by Islam. That's promised to them by Allah. Oh, but the Western Marxist professors, more than 8,000 victims were victims of violence and other. But the Western professors and the Marxists, they don't want you to see that. You beat, what is it? What do you say? What do you say? You beat, you don't have a problem with it? No, no problem. He's happy beating his wife. And you want to be told that Christianity is misogynist. You stupid cultists. You are in a cult. Do you understand that? You are in a religious cult. You lunatic leftists. You think you're secular and you think you're intellectual, you think you're critical. You are in a cult. You are in a cult. You are brainwashed in a cult. You can't even see reality that's in front of you. You must believe that Christianity is the same as Islam. You are in a cult of relativism, a cult of, quote, tolerance, which makes you uncritical to actual reality. Oh, but you're going to say, oh, but there are Christian men that beat their wives. Well, there are atheist men that beat their wives. There are secular men who do domestic violence. Well, how do you say to that? That's your religion. See that? No. Human beings are able to use their intellect, emotion, and will to be able to decipher what is true, what is not. When you see truth, you should be able to see that and say, whoa, that's problematic. That's different from Christianity. Christian culture doesn't allow that. You're supposed to love your spouse unconditionally, even though she's not lovable at times, your wife. You're supposed to respect your husband, even though he's not respectable at times, or you don't feel he's respectable. You're supposed to deal with him in respect as a wife. As a husband, you're supposed to deal with your wife in love, even though she's totally unlovable sometimes. See, you're commanded to do something you don't want to do. You're not just commanded when you're pissed off, you just go beat her up. God commands you to behave maturely, so you act more like God. He challenges you to do things which are not natural to your emotions, so you grow as a person and become better. You become more patient. You become more disciplined. You become more loving. You become more respectful. You become more mature. And that protects your children from you. It protects the next generation from you, because if you're not mature and you're immature and you're emotional and you act out and take it out on people, you're going to kill your children. And you will drive them away from God. So God commands you to do those things, so He protects your children from you and your immaturity. That's why you have to do things you don't like to do. You don't like to treat your wife with respect, with love, when she's totally acting like a freaking child and unlovable. You don't like to treat your husband with respect when he's acting like a little baby. You don't want to treat him with respect. But that's why God commends the husband and the wife to act like adults and act like big people and do something that is against your feelings, which cloud you and make you like a baby. Because through that practice and discipline, when you have children, you don't screw up their lives with your stupid emotions. And you can remain calm even though they piss you off sometimes. Even though they act stupid sometimes, you can act calm and you can help them through that so they become mature. You ask my children if their daddy acts emotional with them. They make big mistakes, they do them. One time, I remember, my son, I know tea ceremony, so I have teapots. Chinese, both Chinese system, Korean and Japanese. I learned the way of tea ceremony with all of them. It's a monks. Many monks know know those trainings as well. It was also part of the samurai tradition as well. So I learned those things. And I had a teapot that I really loved. And I remember I think it was Shinpai or Shinpai. Anyways, when we were in the cottage house, very small. They were small. And they're playing around like kids doing, playing around, and somehow the ball hit and the dang teapot fell up and just BAM! Shattered on the ground. It was my favorite one. And they were petrified because they know daddy's deadly, all right? Even at they were like, I mean, they were shaking, right? They were shaking. And sometimes shouting something cracked. And so daddy comes in and, they were petrified. You could see like dark shadows around there. Like, you know how the camera zooms in on people's eyes when they're petrified. Like you can only see like their eyes. Like, right here, this is the shot right here. Terrified. Eyes terrified. They think daddy's going to kill them because they know I'm dangerous too. Because they saw me do, Shaolin Kung Fu and all this kind of stuff. And I came in, they know that's daddy's favorite pot. And it's totally crashed over the floor. They see me use it every day, take care of it, I wash it, I keep it clean, etc., all that stuff. And daddy walks in, I said, okay, who dropped that? Okay, clean it up. There you go. Okay, get the towel. Okay, let's sweep it up. Okay, so make sure you don't play around in this room with the ball. Was that a smart action or not a smart action? See, that's how I deal with my children. I don't get emotional. That's why I don't lash out at them throughout their whole lives. See, I'm disciplined. I'm very disciplined. Always all that martial art training, etc. I can control my emotions. I'm disciplined. Now I can get upset. When I see evil like this, it's normal to express it. But when I deal with my kids and my children, you can ask any one of them. Their daddy does not get emotional with it, even though they do stupid things sometimes. Kids do stupid things. You may come. Now, of course, inside I'm saying, oh, it broke my pot. But I always make sure my children know that if they did something, it wasn't intentional. They have, of course, clean it up. They should clean it up. But again, their daddy is not just tied to material things. Their daddy will deal with them with a judicious and calm mind. Even when they may think I may come in that room and just beat them and savage them. No, come in. In their perspective, Daddy's not angry. Inside, yes, my emotions are angry, but it's okay. I can control them. I'm in control. I have dominion. I am the master. You understand? So I come in. Okay. That's okay. So we don't play with the ball in this room, right? So what would you like to do? Well, I think he got a bath. Did he go to the bathroom after that? What was the consequence?
I can't really remember. We tried to like mend it, and it didn't work.
I'll try to piece it together or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, I can't
But anyways,
remember.
the point is, he was petrified. The camera was zooming in on his eyes, and he was, you know, the little cartoon black lines around.
You know, if
Go
you
ahead,
don't
Emma, you wanna
mind,
chime in on this?
if you don't mind, I must address, you know, after people found out that you are a really advanced martial artist, couple people actually expressed their concern that, oh, Yonanim, are you okay? This kind of thing. So I want to just, you know, make it very, very clear that, you know, my husband is not that kind of husband, okay?
He never beats his wife?
Yeah.
He never beats her. He never beats her because it's good for her health.
Yeah. She deserves it. No. He doesn't do this. So, you know.
He doesn't have 4 wives and 6 slaves and
if somebody, you know, out there who have
beats his wives for fun.
You know, concern
When they get uppity.
shady part in your you know brain or in your if it's in your concern, please, you know, I'm just letting you know, those things never happen. Okay.
Those girls beat each other up.
I do.
Those girls beat each other up. They give each other black eye. Emo's walking around with a black eye the size of Tahiti.
Oh my goodness.
And they say,
so
who got that? Is Andy beating up his wife? I said, no, unfortunately, that's my wife. I was beating her up. Not beating her up, but hit her in the eye.
Yeah, it was totally a mistake.
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah. Why?
All right.
During the sparring, okay?
It was unintentional, yes. It was unintentional.
We don't do
Okay.
those kind of cat fights, okay? No.
That's right. It's
I have a great relationship with my sister, okay?
it's
don't get me
mutually
wrong.
building.
No.
Mutually building
No,
fighting,
no.
okay? Okay.
Oh, goodness.
Again, there it is. Real video showing what culture you are trying to bring in and import. Let's take a break. We'll be right back after the short break, covering more of the shocking news. Too much to cover. We'll be right back.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Little hands, shoeless feet, lonely eyes looking back at me. like Jesus to the least of these. If not us, tell me who will be like Jesus to the least of these. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love. Little hands, shoeless feet, lonely eyes looking back at me. Will we leave behind the innocent to grieve? On their own, on the run, when their lives have only begun. These could be our daughters and our sons. And just like a drum, I can hear their hearts beating. I know my God won't let them be defeated. Every child has a dream to belong and be loved. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name in victory.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And we are back. Welcome back to the King's Report on our final segment. Today, Friday, March 31st, 2017. I'm your host, Hyungjin Sean Moon, the second king of China Google. Let's go to the headlines, and I'm just going to have to read through them because we don't have a lot of time. U.S. Department of State Department employee with top secret clearance took payments to spy for China for the last 5 years. According to Justice Department officials, the staffer Candace Claiborne is being charged with obstructing an official proceeding and making false statements to the FBI, both felony offenses for allegedly concealing numerous contacts that she had over a period of years with foreign intelligence agents. Again, people of Obama's Justice Department now being proved, or at least charged with, colluding with China, traitors to the United States. Students sign a petition to ban professors who voted for Trump. They're signing petitions to ban professors that voted for Trump because they're so tolerant as young cultists in the cult of liberal progressivism, which is really communism. Total brainwashed idiot children. We want to make sure all professors here are progressives. Of course, because you don't want any professors with conflicting views than yours as a cult. Homeowner guns down 3 masked armed burglars with AR-15. Wow. Intruders carried knife, brass knuckles, and brazen midday robbery. 3 armed thieves were shot dead in Oklahoma Monday by a homeowner wielding an AR-15. Wow. The incident took place in Wagoner County and led to the arrest of suspected getaway driver and robbery mastermind Elizabeth Rodriguez, 21. Oh, so she's the criminal. A 911 call released Wednesday provides context into the moments. I've just been broken into. 3 men, 2 of whom I shot in my house. The 23-year-old caller tells the operator, one's down, one's still talking. You need to get here now. Let's hear that.
Okay, so we're getting people out that way. And they attempted to break into your house, and then you shot them, correct?
Correct. They are in my house. 2 are still in my house.
Okay, are they white males?
I didn't really get a good look.
Okay. Can you see them right now?
No, I shot 2 of them. Now I'm barricaded in my bedroom.
You're barricaded in his bedroom? Okay.
Correct. Southeast corner. They broke in the back door. can hear one of them talking.
Okay, what are they saying?
I can't hear them.
Okay, where were they shot?
Upper body.
Upper body? Can we stay on the end of 91st and get it fixed? Let's say at the intersection of 91st and 41st. I don't want to wait. Are you hurt, sir?
No.
Okay.
2 miles east of the Zico plant, if you guys are having trouble finding it.
We're getting people in or out. And you live in Broken Arrow, correct, sir?
Correct. Just outside of Salem, this is Wagner County.
Okay, and there we go. A young man defending his home and family against 3 idiot burglars armed with weapons trying to commit burglary and crime. And they are, for good reason, shot down.
Say just one word?
Yes, go ahead, Tim.
The lawyers that I've talked to or researched said if you have to shoot someone, call 911, tell them your name, your location, and that you need police and medical or whatever assistance you need, that you've been a victim of a crime, and then hang up. The 911 operator, hang up and then call your lawyer. The 911 operator will try to get all sorts of information from you, but all that can be used against you later on. So it was a good thing that this guy was able to defend his home, but he was giving much too much information to the 911 operator. You need to
Interesting point.
Hang up and call your lawyer.
Interesting point. Interesting, but very valuable information. On other news, Geert Wilders of the Netherlands, the anti-globalist patriot spring is in full bloom. We will prevail and save our civilization, he says. Make Netherlands great again. Look at all these Netherlands people, see? All these Netherlands people, see, they're standing up for their country. Of the 28 parties participating in the Dutch general elections, 13 were able to gain seats in parliament. My party, the Party of Freedom, PVV, did extremely well. We grew from 15 to 20 seats, become the second biggest party in the land. A truly historic achievement. So even though they didn't win this time, they're on the path to winning probably in the next round. Biden says, my party did not talk about maintaining the middle class. Angry white men who voted for Trump aren't racist. Biden admits that the white people that voted for Trump are not racist because they actually voted for Obama 4 years ago. John McCain, in last-minute attempt to avert Gorsuch constitutional option. Another story on Breitbart. Don't go into the floodwater. Huge man-eating shark found on road as Australia is battered by Cyclone Debbie. Look at this great bull shark. Look at that on the road. Look at that huge bull shark in the middle of the road. That is, of course, a very dangerous shark. It can definitely attack, and they're aggressive towards humans. I believe we saw bull shark. We saw bull shark when I was scuba diving with Kuk Jin Hyung in Florida. This was many years ago. Young Jin Hyung, my brother right above me, was alive. So that was when he passed when I was 20, when he was 21, so I was 20. So before that, anyways, we made a trip down from the whole East Coast, and we ended up in Florida. We were scuba diving there. We're all licensed PADI, not instructors, but licensed to scuba dive. And so we saw a real shark. It was small, but it was a shark, you know. I would say 3 to 5 feet. We didn't get close to it, but it was a shark. This is almost certainly James Comey's Twitter account. Another article from Drudge. Digital security and its discontent from Hillary Clinton emails to ransomware to Tor hacks is in many ways one of the chief concerns of the contemporary FBI. So it makes sense that the Bureau's director, James Comey, would dip his toe into the digital torrent with a Twitter account. It also makes sense, given Comey's high profile, that he would want that Twitter account to be a secret from the world, lest his follows and faves be scrubbed for clues about what the feds are up to. What is somewhat surprising, however, is that it only took me about 4 hours of sleuthing to find Comey's account, which is not protected. Last night at the Intelligence and National Security Alliance Leadership dinner, Comey let slip that he has both a Twitter account, secret Twitter account and Instagram account, in the course of relating a quick anecdote from one of his daughters. What am I to say no to a challenge? As far as finding Comey's Twitter account goes, the only hint he offered was that, in fact, he has been on Twitter now, meaning that the account would likely be relatively new. Regarding his Instagram identity, though, Comey gave us quite a bit more to work with. I care deeply about privacy, treasure it. I have an Instagram account with 9 followers. Nobody's getting in. They're all immediate relatives and one daughter's serious boyfriend. I let them in because they're serious enough. I don't want anybody looking at my photos. I treasure my privacy and security on the internet. My job is public safety. And of course, this writer of this article is able to track him down. Now, this is what Facebook is, folks. When police do investigations on people, they check the networks of people. They want to understand who committed that crime and who that person is connected to. Now, that can be used for good, but that also can be used for bad, because that can be used for if somebody doesn't like you politically. Then they can go to you, who you're connected to, and they can see all the different people that you have as friends, but they can see about percentages about who is in really your network, who you communicate most with, the 10 people out of that 5,000 people you have maximum on Facebook. And they can, by algorithms, they can see how much interaction you have with a core group of people. Then they can scan those core group of people and their core group of peoples. Then they can make problems for you, because you can be interacting with somebody that has a friend that's interacting with somebody whose friend is interacting with somebody who's involved in drug crime or whatever, see? And they can say now you're part of an intricate web of drug trafficking. You see what I'm saying? And this can be used against you, even though you have no dealings with drugs. You see what I'm saying? And when you have an information database, which of course human beings, people are actively putting their own information up on the web, unknowing that this is actually a CIA operation, Zuckerberg working for the CIA in college at Harvard, a data collection operation, which of course investigations are done. That's the good side. Bad side is when you become a political enemy to somebody who has power and is in the heart of the federal bureaucracy. Well, now you have a big trouble. You have big trouble coming down the pipeline. Because now anything can be used. Any of your network of people can be used to say that you're in some kind of ring, or you're connected to that drug trafficker, you're connected to this sex group, you're connected to this or that. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why your privacy is important. That's why you don't put up everything on the web. That's why I tell young people, don't take pictures of yourself naked. Don't take bikini pictures of yourself. You know, guys like to get the picture with the six-pack out. Girls like to put their bikini on. Some they take their bra off and take a picture of themselves. They want to see how good they're, and motivate themselves to lose weight. Okay, but you got to understand everything you take picture of. Or some people like they're having a sexual relation with their spouse and they want to keep that memory, so they want to film it. Okay, once you do that, kids, it's now on the line. You have to imagine that it's online now forever. You're never going to get that off. See? So that's why you have to protect your privacy, because that's some stuff is only between you, your spouse, and God. I know you want to capture that moment for the rest of your life so you can revisit it with your spouse. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do you understand? It's going to be on the web. You have to understand, all your pictures are on the FBI databases, NSA databases. Do you understand? Your government spies on you. That's out in the open. That's 100% out in the open. Do you understand? They admit they do that. So protect yourself. Understand, in that internet world, you're not just operating. You can't just believe what your phone tells you, what Facebook tells you, what Mark Zuckerberg tells you, what the Apple Incorporated tells you. You have to know how to protect yourself. It is a world that has predators out there. Again, a article writer can target in on the FBI director's Twitter and Instagram account just by a couple words of information that he gives. You see how fast even a normal person can find? Now, you talk about trained individuals who have this as their profession. How fast do you think they can make up a story about you? oh, you're you're in a pedophile ring, or oh, you're this or that. If they don't like you, they want to get rid of you because you're speaking out against them. Common tactics in blackmail, folks. And the Archangel is the master of that. Business Insider reports we share a strong mutual admiration. Rand Paul praises Matt Drudge after a meeting together in Washington. High doses of vitamin C can help treat cancer, scientists find. Whoa! Wow, what a great revelation. Vitamin C can help treat cancer. Doctors have been poo-pooing this for years. Because there's people that have, like, for example, have cancer and melatomas, whatever. And then they go like to Mexico, and they have high vitamin C treatments, like where you ingest tons of vitamin C. And apparently many people have success with that. But of course, all the pharmaceutical companies don't want you to have access to cheap ways to cure cancer because they want to produce the, quote, cancer fighting drug, not the curing drug. They want to create the fighting drug, which keeps your cancer living as long as possible, but keeps it going up and down, up and down. So you're suffering up and down, up and down, up and down. But you have to keep eating these pills and you have to keep eating these vaccines. That's how they make money off of you. They're not interested in the cure. Now scientists are finding with doses 1,000 times higher than the recommended level boost the effectiveness of chemotherapy. They're finding that, what happened there? They're finding that vitamin C aids the process of fighting cancer. Boom, right there. Bezos, the lunatic. Look at this lunatic. The guy looks like some kind of, look at this guy. He looks like he's like out of some kind of movie with his like Chinese suit and a Soho artiste scarf, you know, overly long scarf to try to pretend you're creative and you're trendy. He's there wearing, look at this Jeff Bezos. It's sad that he's Amazon's owner. You know, it's very sad. He's an open propagandist. He openly has $60 million contracts with the CIA, with the Washington Post. He's the owner of Washington Post. I mean, this is ridiculous. This guy, this kind of idiot, this open totalitarian, open communist, creates a monopoly with Amazon, doesn't want, Trump is trying to bring in Alibaba so we have a competition, at least we somewhere else that can produce cheap services and products that we can choose from and at least have some competition to Amazon. I feel every time I purchase from Amazon, even though my Smile Amazon is connected to Gun Owners America or NRA, every purchase goes and donates to them, I still feel bad that I'm forced to use Amazon because all the other services are not competitive. I want more competition so I can buy from people that are more, aligned with my values. And I'm not forced to only buy from Bezos because he has contracts with the government. And he works openly with the CIA, which openly runs the internet. Give me a break! These idiots are all working together! Okay. Trump says trade gap will make China meeting a very difficult one. Xi Jinping is coming, and Trump will be meeting with Xi Jinping. Tim, do you have something to say about that?
Yes, Thursday. I'm sure it will be a difficult meeting. I hope it is a difficult meeting for the Chinese.
EU could break up the US. Juncker in jaw-dropping threat to Trump over support for Brexit. European Union boss Jean-Claude Juncker issued a jaw-dropping threat to the United States, saying he could campaign to break up the country in revenge for Donald Trump's supportive comments about Brexit. These arrogant, unelected bureaucrats think they own the world, and they can tell America and Americans who are gun owners what to do. That they can threaten us breaking up our country because of Donald Trump, who we elected by democratic processes. These arrogant, $1 million making bureaucrats, unelected, above the law. And these idiots think they rule the world. These are the fools who should be locked up in prison. These are the demons of political Satanism. We're no longer scared by those threats. And sovereignty and the revolution of sovereignty is spreading worldwide because his kingdom is coming. Yes, I know it's 8 o'clock. Let's go quickly. Let's go quick. Don't get me off on that one. Assange safe haven at risk. Putin takes tough stand on protests, warns of Arab Spring chaos as he arrests hundreds, thousands of people in recent protests. The Google Chrome message. that means you're watching too much porn is a wink. They give you a wink. Look at this. Google will give you a wink if you're watching too many porno videos. So boys, if you're watching too much video, Google will encourage you in your healthy habit by giving you a wink wink. Hey, keep consuming that porn. Keep watching women get banged by 50 men. Hey, keep watching fake sex where the women are pretending to like it when they hate it and being paid for it. And they'll give you a little wink to encourage you on your great citizens' behavior. There's Google for you, the censorship kings. Google. Pathetic. The Wall Street Journal reports Mike Flynn offers to testify in exchange for immunity. Mike Flynn, President Donald Trump's former national security advisor, has told the FBI and congressional officials investigating the Trump campaign's potential ties to Russia that he's willing to be interviewed in exchange for a grant of immunity from prosecution. Connecticut considering weaponized drones. Top news on drones. Weaponized drones. Are you kidding me? You tell me you're going to be robots flying around with guns on them? Are you kidding me? So some loser that plays video games all day can pretend he's playing a video game and shoot people? Give me a break. Donald Trump must stop this insanity. Drones with weapons, and the Connecticut Police Force wants this? This is insanity. These federal police are not protecting you. Not like we're against the police, but most of them are good, but some of them are on power trips and they want more insanity like this, drones flying around with weapons. Give me a break. There it is, top news on drugs right there. Armed police drones. I wanted to show a new video by David Wood today, but we'll do that at another time. Such insanity going on, folks. Such insanity. Let's get back to our scripture today. In verse 13, he said, stretch out your hand. And he stretched it out and was restored as whole as the other. America needs to stretch out his hands, folks. We need to stretch our hands out towards the kingdom. Because in this world of tribulation, a time of tribulation, we are in Satan's kingdom. We are in the midst of the archangel. But as we stretch out our hands in faith, as we look towards a horizon that is through the storm of the archangel's realm, we can see God's kingdom, the kingdom of Chanilgu, coming to this world. Thank you for joining us today on the King's Report this Friday, March 31st, 2017. We'll see you on Sunday at the Sunday service, and we will see you back Monday, 5 a.m. sharp on the King's Report. God bless, Godspeed, and may His kingdom come, may His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We'll see you next time.